thing we want to do is we want to take care of that upper trapezius because we've worked lower. So all I want you to do is reach up and grab your head, and you're going to pull over to the side. Now, this should feel a nice, good stretch. You don't want to turn or twist, just straight over. You should feel a good stretch there. And then we'll do the other side. You want to hold for about 20 seconds. Nice and easy. The goal here is not to rip your head off and then do the Shao Kahn laugh afterwards. Yeah, no fatalities here. Just a nice, easy stretch. Shouldn't be anything. I'm going to have you come in with my patients and just do the background with that also. That maybe get through. But just a nice, easy stretch to kind of get you going. And then the next thing, you're going to turn your head and pull down. Nice, easy stretch. No. Some people say, oh, my neck doesn't go that way. There again, you're just nice and easy, no pain with anything you're doing. So next, just kind of take it down. We want to kind of work on our forearms. And a lot of times with repetitive motion, with your playing, you can get signs of carpal tunnel or de Quervain syndrome or lots of other things you can get. And all I want you to do is you're going to take your fingers and you're going to extend your arm. So you just want to feel a nice, good stretch through here. And then we're going to flip over and do it the other way. And you're going to come down. All your muscles that do this attach right there. All the muscles that do this attach right here. And so we're just kind of stretching those out. The collective groans through the audience.
We're all on computers and mics all the time, so yeah, we're all feeling this one.
As you're doing this throughout the day, you don't have to do it all the time, but just every now and then, if you get just a good stretch and kind of keep that loose. And that's the goal is that you're staying on top of it. You're not, oh, this hurts, so now let's try to stretch it out, but that you're staying on top of it to where you don't get to have pain with it. Last thing I'm going to tell you, a simple thing, just put something in the small of your back to keep you upright. This is the simplest exercise you can do. Stick something behind your back. And that's just it kind of reminds me like my grandmother saying, sit up straight, and poking me. But you kind of it helps with your posture and helps stay upright. Helps you keep going, gaming for as long as you want to, developing, voice acting, doing whatever you want to as long as you can. We can help you with anything at Victory. Please let us know. And thank you for your time
and where
today.
do they find you?
So we are on Facebook at Victory Rehabilitation. We're over on 122 Enterprise Court, Suite E. And our phone number is 706-507-5917. And reach out to us. 706-507-5917. And you can, if you want to email us, it's info@victoryrehabilitation.net. So if we can do anything for you, let us know. But work with these exercises, and like I said, hopefully we'll see you at the grocery store or something, or online gaming. I'm going to turn it over to Bob, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. We'll give this to Bob.
All right.
Test.
Happy to.
Check something. Let me double check one thing real quick.
No worries. If I need to, I can obviously use this microphone, and I can project.
If you want to use that mic, go for it.
Whatever you prefer.
Go for it.
All right.
We can charge this one up.
Sure. Yeah, do that. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to my TED Talk. No. In all seriousness, for those who do not know me, my name is Bob Carter. I'm a voice actor, voice director, production studio owner, actually teaching and production studio owner of the Neighborhood Studio. And for commercial and corporate and government possibilities, that would be Carter Creative Services. I've also got a fond affiliation here with the Georgia Game Developers Association. I am a lifelong gamer and nerd and geek and creative with a capital C. I enjoy all kinds of role-playing games and improv comedy, and I have been fortunate enough in my lifetime to make a career out of bringing those two things together. Right now, in Atlanta, there is a conference happening called VO Atlanta. It is basically a gathering of some of the top voiceover talents in the entire country, and they're all there talking about the state of the union, right? The state of the industry in terms of what's happening, right? Because AI is taking over. And from a personal standpoint, artificial intelligence is absolutely a threat to my livelihood. Without question, it has taken jobs away from me. It is a threat directly to me. I have enough dry voice samples on the internet for someone to take that, upload it into their program, and use my audio without my knowledge or paying me. That is a concern. I have 3 kids. That's a lot of mouths to feed. I got 3 kids, 3 cats, 2 dogs, a wife, and that's a lot of people to feed, right? So from a personal standpoint, it is threatening my livelihood. It is absolutely directly threatening my livelihood. It has, in fact, harmed my livelihood. My wife, September Day Carter, is actually the most well-known voice in the world today. That is no idle boast. She was the former voice of the Amazon Kindle Fire. So remember how there was Susan Bennett, who was the voice of Siri? She recorded that at a production studio formerly called GM Voices. Now I think it's called Blink or Flow in Alpharetta. September, my wife, 8 days after the birth of my firstborn daughter, Cadence, had to record for 10 days, 8 hours a day, like right after she'd given birth. She is the Iron Woman of voiceover. Anyway, her voice was used for the Amazon Kindle Fire by this company called Ivona. They took her voice, and she was one of the first artificial voice, she became the artificial voice of Ivona, and when Amazon bought Ivona, she became the voice of Amazon. She was paid for that. She was not paid subsequently for all the many other uses that her voice was put to. So, for instance, a few years ago, our cable went out. It was a Friday night. I was exhausted. It was raining, much like last night. I called, at the time, it was either Cox or Charter. I was upset. I was very frustrated. And then I heard my wife's voice answering. She's the automated voice of Cox or Charter Communications. And, for a while it was very amusing, right? Because then she became the artificial voice on YouTube. So for all those automated videos that people would put up, they were using her voice. However, last year it was not so funny because we started hearing her voice everywhere. She was the voice of, actually in a good way, she was the voice of a Kaylee doll, which was kind of like, it was a doll for like young kids, like between 3, 4, and 5, and it was kind of like a kid's version of Siri because it was connected to the internet, and kids could ask Kaylee any question that you would ask of the internet, and that doll would answer using her voice. Now, she wasn't paid for that, but it was adorable, and it was actually helping a lot of autistic kids communicate and reach out and be expressive. And again, that was really adorable. However, earlier this year, 2 different instances, 3 different instances last year. One, we heard her voice on a Disney movie on Disney Plus, like, was it Zombies 3? Something like that. Then we heard her voice as the automated voice of Stars on Mars on Fox Network. Then, for my daughter's birthday, we bought her a sound bar, like one of those cool sound bars that lights up and it's got great stereo sound. When you press the power button, right, from ONN, the power button hit, that was her voice, power on. We were shocked, completely shocked. I'm not kidding, this is real. So now my wife is very upset, and she says, I haven't been paid for any of this stuff, and I need to go ahead and open up a TikTok channel called If I Had a Nickel for every time I heard my voice, which is a great idea, and we're probably gonna do that. But then we said, we should probably check into some kind of legal recourse. So then we started checking into entertainment attorneys. And would you believe that one of the attorneys that we called in Atlanta, when we contacted their voicemail, or when we called in, that was her voice on the system. Seriously, it's shocking, but it was true. And so we are really concerned. I am really concerned, and so I don't have time to sit around and wait for the union or someone else to decide what's going to happen, right? I've been concerned. Now, I'm non-union because I'm in Georgia and it's a right-to-work state. I've done union work in the past. I work all over the world. Because Georgia is a right-to-work state, I have chosen not to be in the union so I can do more work as opposed to it. But I am pro-union. However, I don't feel like the union has done enough for voice talents because they focus mostly on the top ones, right? So because I was really concerned about this, and I knew that anything we did would go into litigation, I said, let me check into something to protect my voice. The music industry, right? You guys have heard of BMI and ASCAP. So if you license through them, right, then you should have your voice protected. So I checked into a company called Veritone, which I found out is the research arm that investigates all over the internet. They scrub YouTube, they scrub all these different places. So I personally have a vested interest in artificial intelligence. I want you guys to understand where I'm coming from when I talk about these things today, okay? I want you to understand I am personally threatened by it. Not me, like my feelings being hurt, I mean like financially, right? My livelihood. It is very serious what I'm dealing with. Many people are dealing with this. However, instead of just being reactive, I'm doing what I can to be proactive, right? Change is scary when it happens to us, but it's a good thing when it comes from us. So I'm doing what I can to be proactive and take my fate into my own hands. So that's where I've reached out to Veritone. That's where I've reached out now that the union signed that agreement and they're going to allow artificial intelligence to take over our voices. I'm doing what I can to control my destiny, right? If you're your own boss, you can't fire yourself, but you got to make sure that you can keep working for yourself. You want to control your destiny. So the things I'm going to talk about to you, or with you today, are about controlling your destiny. Sound good? Okay. So let's get to it. Here we go. Are we doomed? Oh my God. No, we are not doomed. All right? Let's just go ahead and set the panic aside. We are absolutely not doomed. Artificial intelligence, for the longest time, it was a joke. It absolutely was a joke that, you know, somebody could record us and think that it would be able to replace what we're able to say. It has gotten much better. It has gotten incredibly good at certain aspects of helping our jobs. Not just in voiceover, not just in sound design, but in visuals, in screenplays, in coding, in academic studies, right? Universities are freaking out because ChatGPT can write amazing academic papers sometimes. Attorneys are freaking out because ChatGPT has been able to pass the bar sometimes. People are freaking out because, you know, this, that, and the other thing, right? Elon Musk is suing OpenAI, right? Because he feels like it's not for the benefit of humanity anymore, right? But again, it's like sour grapes and there's a whole bunch of stuff. This is an opportunity for all of us in this room. We are not billionaires, I don't think. So this is an opportunity for us to become billionaires. This is the frontier, right? Now, it is not the end-all be-all. It is not Cyberdyne systems. It's not the Matrix. It's just another tool. Okay? It's a tool, just like your cell phone, just like your computer, just like software, right? The AI is just another type of software that we're going to use to learn to help ourselves. Okay? I want you guys to understand that. It is not terrifying, but I am going to make it fun, right? So, welcome, fellow humans, to our comedic take on the AI apocalypse. Let us explore why AI will not be our overlords, but the folks who master it will. You guys, the young people, the students that are here at CIMFest, the future is yours. You know, we were talking about things in the last panel about how if we'd had the knowledge at our fingertips that you guys have, where we would be today, okay? Well, you guys have that knowledge at your fingertips, and you've now got a catalyst. AI is best used by those who are creative, those who are imaginative, those who can imagine ways to ask questions, ways to use prompts, ways to say, what if, and then input that, and then it just gets your mind thinking and brainstorming. And that's what it's all about. It's a catalyst, okay? That's how you're going to use it. Now, the question is, are you ready for this? So a second ago I said, go to your Midjourney page. How many people here have Discord? Raise your hands high. Good. If you do not have a Discord, Joe, you need to be on Discord. But you didn't raise your hand, so I'm calling you out. Right. In all seriousness, Midjourney is on Discord. Discord is the new Facebook, TikTok, MySpace, LinkedIn, everything that everybody is on. The new generation, right? Because I mean, that's really how people are communicating. Midjourney is on Discord. If you don't have Discord, you need to get it. And if you don't have Midjourney, you need to add that to one of your servers. It needs to become one of your resources, all right? Just another tool in your pocket, because Midjourney, or you know what? Or ChatGPT. Let's go ahead and say, you need to get one of these AI tools and you need to keep it always open. So on your cell phone, always keep one of your tabs open on ChatGPT. Always, from now on, because it's a habit. You have to get used to using this. For my gamers, it's your new Omni tool, right? Mass Effect, it's your Omni tool. That's what it is. It's just another tool, but it's gonna be your Omni tool. For those who don't play Mass Effect, it's the new cell phone. Like when you grew up and suddenly you had pagers and then you had a cell phone and you're like, how could I not have a cell phone ever again? You're gonna be like, how could I not have my ChatGPT ever again? Keep one of those tabs open on your browsers at all times. It's not always going to be correct, right, Mike? It's not always going to give you answers 100% of the time, but it will give you good answers 60 to 70% of the time. So you need to use it as a tool because it's a catalyst for your own ideas and your own thoughts. It's a means of helping to organize your thoughts, especially if you've got ADD. It's a means of helping you if you are dyslexic and words on the paper swirl around. It's a means of helping you if you have certain types of learning disabilities or attention disabilities or whatever types of thought issues that you might have. It's a catalyst that helps to organize those and help you think faster. All right, that's how I want you to think of this from now on. Don't be afraid of it. Be afraid of being left behind by it, right? So learn to use it, learn to play with it and enjoy it. Use it for cooking recipes, use it for gaming ideas, use it for NPCs and riddles and puns. Use it, okay? So in all seriousness, AI, just like robotics, right? I mean, you know, we've all laughed at the Boston Dynamics robots over the past 10 years, and yet we've all seen the amazing progress of those robots. And now, as of what, 2 months ago, Meta's AI and Boston Dynamics robots, I think, like merged. And so the robot is actually learning by watching videos and watching pictures. It's pretty wild. So they're talking about having, are you guys familiar with AGI, Artificial General Intelligence? So as of last year, that was supposed to be 2 to 3 years. As of December, that was supposed to be next September. As of today, that's supposed to be this September, and that's publicly. That doesn't mean what we already have or know privately, okay? So this is happening, and it's happening fast. We're in a wonderful, amazing transformation of industry and lifestyle, and everything is gonna happen very quickly in the next 9 months. So buckle in and get excited about it, because we're gonna use it. So now, with your Discords, because this is an interactive PowerPoint presentation, I want you guys to go to your Discord. I want you to go to your Discord that has your Midjourney on it. Raise your hand if you don't have Midjourney on one of your tabs on Discord. It's okay. If you don't have Midjourney on one of your tabs on Discord, there's a bot, you can just do a search, and you can click on it, and you can invite it, and you can try to use these things, all right? Now, if you've got ChatGPT 4, anybody in here have ChatGPT 4? Okay, then you don't need to have Midjourney. You can get images based on that. Do we have people that prefer DALL-E by any chance, or Stable Diffusion? Yeah, well then use ChatGPT 4. ChatGPT 4 is, honestly, it's like Iron Man's Jarvis. It is that good. You can ask it questions, you can have conversations with it. It's better than Siri, it's better than Alexa, it's better than Hey Google, right? ChatGPT 4 is coming up with amazing images, and it's coming up with stories for you, and it's a wonderful tool for you to get used to using. Now here's the wild part. As good as ChatGPT is, there are other programs programmed by using Python language that are actually better. And now, better than Midjourney, which is all about pictures, you've got Sora, which is making videos. Now, for those who have Midjourney up, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to type in a person typing on a keyboard with multiple screens showing complex algorithms. The reason why you're going to type this into your Midjourney is to show you that just like all of us, when we imagine certain things, we have a different perspective. We have a different imagination, right? Some of us might be seeing iRacing simulators with triple monitors. Others of us might see some kind of a news wall with multiple televisions with different camera angles. Others of us might see some kind of a desktop with 5 different monitors, and you've got certain programs up there, including Bloomberg, if you're in financial services. Doctors might have certain EKG things that they're used to seeing. We all have different perspectives and all filters. My point is, when you're looking at your Midjourney image, you're going to get 4 different possibilities. They all look different from the other person who's sitting next to you. So we have to realize that just like ourselves, we all have a different perspective. We all have a different filter of how we see the world. And it's very important that we understand that and we respect that and we learn how to communicate effectively through that. Okay? So guess what? Those same human skills that mattered back 200 years, 100 years, 50 years, 30 years, 10 years, back when you were in kindergarten, back when you were in the 3rd grade, manners, civility, awareness of words and language, and effective communication and listening skills, those are universal and they still matter. These are the people who are going to run the world. These people right here. He or she who controls the algorithm controls the universe. And the spice must flow, right? So he who controls the algorithm controls the universe. That's where you're starting to get sour grapes. For those of you who had your fingers on the pulse, ChatGPT was amazing until Microsoft put in $10 billion and suddenly it started having all kinds of glitches and burps and stutters and stops because it started getting dumbed down. Right? Now again, that's a hot take, but those who control the algorithm control what is being released from the algorithm. You guys are in a unique position because AI has actually been around for what, 12 years, 14 years? Python language has been around for a long time. It's just that now we're learning different ways to apply it. The language is already there. The API is already there. You can make your own ChatGPT. You can make your own Sora. You can make all this stuff and better. Everybody in this room, especially young people, especially the students in this program who are imaginative enough to make games and imaginative enough to already know how to code and imaginative enough to be willing to learn a new language if you don't already know it. And then here's the cool part. You don't even know how to have to code necessarily because now you can make games without knowing how to code, right? They've got new languages and again, communication to ask the right prompts to be able to do these things and develop them. Regardless of industry, regardless of voiceover or video production or art design, set design, law, medicine. So the question is, how are you going to use this tool to help you, to make, to facilitate things for you, whether it's as a day planner or as a friend, a confidant, a counselor, a therapist. This is a tool for you to use. This is your new Omni tool. Mass Effect is here and it's awesome. This is your Omni tool and it's on your cell phone. So now, again, imagine, right? /imagine, and then that's going to bring up your prompt on Midjourney for those of my Discord users, or in ChatGPT 4. Imagine there's that confused robot that's scratching its head. Now, for those who do not have Midjourney or Discord, let me go ahead and show you what this looks like. That's all I typed in. This is just a catalyst. It's not going to be perfect, but it is going to be good enough. Remember how we're talking about it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Bad code is better than perfect code. It's good enough to get you started in terms of visualizing things. So for my storyboarders, right, my game developers who love coming up with an idea first, and then you script it out, and then you storyboard it, and then you try to like start applying things. Oh my God, look at that. While I was rambling on, yes, but now, you know what, that's pretty good. Well, I think it changed this. And instead of being a Wally style robot with a huge stretching head, I need to make it epic battle stance. We've been leaving in the Pixar style just to see what it comes up with, right? We're playing. So again, as imaginative as you want to be, all right, that's going to pop up while you are imagining things. It's just a tool. Don't be afraid of it. It's a tool. Again, even though it's personally affecting me and it's absolutely threatening my livelihood, I have that teaching and production studio where I have to adapt and improvise and use this tool and teach you how to properly and effectively use this tool and rely on the fact that someday you will surpass me, right? But that's, again, having that mature thought as opposed to having that scarcity mentality and clutching and trying to control things by fear. It's knowing that together everyone achieves more, go team, and it's having that abundance mentality, right? So that we know a rising tide raises all ships. This right here is about to propel so much ingenuity and opportunity for everybody in this room and everybody watching. It's exciting. It's absolutely electric. I'm excited by the possibilities, okay? I want you guys to understand. You know what, that's okay. Let me change it. I don't like that, right? See, we didn't like it. Let me say it. That, nobody changed Again, all I'm doing is just trying different prompts, right? Having a good time. Now, personally, I love making up anything and everything gaming related, right? So most of this stuff is going to usually end up with in ninjas or in pirates or in fantasy settings, right? Because again, I'm a DM and I run a lot of different games. I'm also running a superheroes game, so you can see with my character, I'm playing a superhero game. So this is my character that I was able to draw. Pretty cool, if I do say so myself. Right? Pretty cool looking movie. Team superhero with yin yang symbols surrounded by electricity, blue and yellow colors, city of hero style, right? Now, there's a video I've been talking about for years, done by Corridor Digital, called Rock, Paper, Scissors, right? You guys see the anime, Rock, Paper, Scissors? Absolutely amazing. It was like dropping a bomb in the animation industry because 5 guys, very similar to, again, imagine the team, Kyle, you and your team that are working on your game. So these 5 people decided that they were going to make an anime based on rock, paper, scissors. So they had fun with it. They took a bunch of pictures of themselves and then they entered that into Stable Diffusion, which is a type of art generator. Now, just as I have been typing in these specific keywords, right? Whether it's Gundam, whether it's Pixar, whether it's Wall-E, it might be Vampire Hunter D, like these guys did. Now, that's where the stealing comes from. That's where the imitation, where people are concerned about their artwork, their intellectual property gets taken, right? Because if it's in that style that is directly derivative of clutter, or if it's in that style, it's directly derivative of Space Armada, or if it's directly derivative of whatever your game is, and somebody just generated that in 30 seconds, that is a concern. However, you, being the game creator and the game developer, you're going to use this tool much better than they will, because you've already had certain ideas, and you have to trust in the fact that you already have the imagination and the experience and the know-with-all and the resources to use this better than somebody who's just getting started. You've got to rely on that fact. And because you have already succeeded and failed and done this in life, you've developed thicker skin, and you know what it's like when you're down, and you also know what it feels like to get back up, right? So when we talk about it's important to fail so that you can learn, you know, everybody talks about Babe Ruth being the home run leader and then Hank Aaron being the home run leader. Remember, Babe Ruth was not only the home run leader, he was the strikeout leader, right? It's about how many times you get up the plate and how many swings you take. And in baseball, a good average at 333 is still 1 out of 3 pitches, right? So 2 out of 3 times you're striking out. But the more you swing, the more you practice, the more you exercise, the more you do whatever it is, the more confident you're going to feel, right? You're expanding your comfort zone. And right now, like I said, change is scary when it happens to us, but we have to expand our comfort zone enough so that we can try new things and feel comfortable enough to play and experiment and explore. And that's very important. So, again, even as I'm doing all these different things, that's weird and fun. And actually, I kind of like the colors. Again, that has nothing to do with what I'm really talking about. Because, I think that's good. That's definitely what we have, right? This is what we need to focus on. Using this as a tool, which is why I say on your cell phone, where you've got your browser, whether it's Chrome or Opera or Firefox or internet or Apple internet, whether it's Samsung, whatever it is, keep a tab open on chat.openai.com, right? It's your Chat GPT app. You need to have that open. I want you guys to be aware of the events that are happening and not be afraid of them, but learn how to use them, because for better or worse, it's happening. And because of that, I have to adapt. And because I have that studio and I teach people and I practice what I preach and I lead by example, I have to be willing to try new things and be willing to fail. And so, as you look at this right here, as I'm sharing with you, as I am using ChatGPT to, let's say, write a 10-slide humorous PowerPoint presentation about how AI won't take over the world, but the people who know how to properly use AI will. Well, look at that. See those slides right there? So now what's wild is, as I copied this, and I went to Word right here. Are you guys familiar with Word? Microsoft Word, right? And did you know that if you go to File and then you click Export, you can click to an export PowerPoint presentation. And I don't know about your PowerPoint presentation skills, but mine are terrible. But the fact that this built it for me, oh my God, you know what? The other one was really cool, but let's see what this one looks like, right? Or wait, do we want to be, you know, we'll go like this one, because that's more holistic and a little bit colorful, right? That's got like nicer, easier colors, and boom! Look at that. How long did your PowerPoint presentations take? Because mine used to take 2 hours and they sucked. Mine are horrible. I can't even do that color right there. Okay. So as I say, when we do the slideshow, suddenly. So again, my slideshows don't ever look like this. So that's pretty awesome. I mean, that looks professional, right? That looks much better than what I was working from. They are bigger, and it's much easier to see. See what I mean? Exactly, because my first try was actually not good. But I went back and I tried a different look, and I could go back and try another look. And especially if I knew already how to do PowerPoint presentations, which I don't. Administratively, I am remedial. But again, this looks great, right? Doesn't it look great? So we can take the ideas that we have and we can use AI, and you saw me literally just click that live, real time. It looks great. See? Now for the people who are using Midjourney, like I said, I want you guys taking these different prompts and trying them out, because the wild part is they're always going to look different, and you can try every art style you want. That's the other thing. I have learned more art in the past 6 months, not just Van Gogh, not just Picasso, not just certain art names, but photographic angles, cinematic shots, perspectives, lighting, different prompts that absolutely make a difference in those artistic images and videos and presentations that I'm making. All right? So this is not scary. This is just another tool that we are using and learning. And so, look at that. That was amazing. I would have never filmed that picture on, what do we use? Like Envato sometimes, or stock, Adobe stock, or there you go, Shutterstock, or you know, like obviously some of the free stuff. Okay. Again, so in terms of being a solopreneur, in terms of being a small studio, this is a tremendous advantage to us, because this levels the playing field for the small indie developer and development team to be able to compete with the AAA size teams. So with all those layoffs that are going on, guess what? Those people who got laid off are going to have time and ability now to be even more creative and put together their own dream games as they're, you know, bouncing back and dealing with coming back from those layoffs. Right? But again, the same human skills and qualities that we've had to learn and develop, right? The same soft people skills, the same discipline, the same resilience, the same compassion, all those core values that we need and believe in, those don't change. The technology might change, but our core values that make us good humans and good stewards and good citizens, those apply now more than ever, and we need them more than ever. But again, this is just another tool, and that tool just made me look very professional. Again, you guys, and Joe, we even talked about this. I don't usually do PowerPoint presentations because visually, I'm terrible. My thing is sound, all things creative, but now I have this new tool, and you just saw me use it. You saw exactly how I did it. I wrote down my ideas on my Google Doc, and then I applied them through Word, and I hit boom, translate, and it made this beautiful presentation for me. And that's the end of my slide. That's the end of my presentation. Any questions?
Okay, this portion, lovely. You got 5 minutes for questions. Anyone has questions? I'll lead with the first question.
All right.
So, Bob, what is AI not doing that you wish it did?
AI not doing that I wish it did. Good question.
Are you making?
You know what? I just drove in my first Tesla a couple of weeks ago, and I was shocked and surprised by the simplicity of it. I love the Rainbow Road, like the navigation when you're cruise controlling. It even auto steers for you, and it drives for you, right? Like not just like kind of keeping you in the lanes. Like it drives for you, so you can sit back and kick back and relax. So what AI is not yet doing that I wish it did is, well, you could even talk about it cleaning the house, right, with Roombas. We could talk about looking after kids, but you got Sentries, you got like ADT security system types AI that companies are applying. So in terms of what it's not yet doing that I wish it did,
Scraping the internet for the use of your voice you're not being paid for. That's what.
you know what? Absolutely, but I've got Baritone doing that. So I've got Baritone doing that, and I also, because I had to get over myself and adapt and improvise, because I'm practicing what I preach, I have checked into 11 labs, and I've gone ahead and opened this up, and
industry? Not at all. Did the computer destroy industries or make them better? Did the internet destroy communities or bring people closer to one another? Gaming is fun. Making your own game is even better. But game development with the Georgia game developers is the best.
All right, I'll pay your Bob.
So again, I've had to get over myself and learn to use AI to help me scrape the internet, because it can do it much faster than I can, right? And I've had to get over myself and learn to use AI also to help me with my own production, which thank God it is actually doing, because again, that ADD takes over and we have so much coming at us that it helps us be productive, right? It's just another day planner. It's just another tool. It's like your cell phone. It's your online Google Calendar. It's whatever that tool is that you love to use. That's a resource for you. Okay, that is what AI is. It's not Terminator the robot. It's Arnold the helpful robot. Yes, ma'am.
Hold on.
Oh.
Something came undone.
Oh.
Say something. Speak.
Hello. I'm speaking. Can you hear me? Do I need to hit the power button again?
No,
Very
we have
well.
to move the bike back and forth. I don't know.
You're good. All right. Very well. Yes, ma'am.
I'm a game developer. So,
Wait a second.
1 second.
There we
Chickadee
go.
check.
Yeah, you turned
So it
it
was
off and
power.
grabbed it.
There was power.
All right.
I'm a game developer.
Hi,
And
what's your name?
Valencia.
Valencia.
Yeah, my talk's later.
All right. What's your game?
I work for Alchemy Labs to make VR games. So,
Perfect. All right. Talk
so
to me.
my question is, the writer's strike happened because of AI for writing movies and
Yes.
things. Do you think it's going to be something similar in the game industry because of the AI?
We already know that AI is being used to make games in the gaming industry. As a matter of fact, I've been working on a game. Joe, you made 16 versions of Clutter. You guys have made your versions of games. I've been working on 3 games for 6 years now. And in the span of a morning, because of this talk, where was it? In terms of the best games, here we go. So I've been working on Unicorn or Rainbow Defenders. And in the span of one morning, this created a game for me. It gave me 3 options. So as far as what it's going to do for the gaming industry, it's going to accelerate it, because again, it's just another tool. It's like learning Creative Cloud. It's like learning Unity. It's like learning Unreal Engine 5. It's just another Unreal Engine 18.
So you don't think it's going to be a strike or anything like that with game developers?
What are you going to do? How are you going to stop this?
You can't.
Because you cannot stop this. All you can do is guide it and control it. So again, we saw what happened with the writer's strike and the actor's strike. And guess what? They gave into it. And so again, the union gave into it. So what hope do non-union people have, right? So it's going to happen. This tool is actively being used. We can either kick back and roll on with our horse and buggies, or we can try to learn how to drive a Model T and then eventually drive our big Cadillac in the 50s, right? But again, time is progressing, time is marching on. We cannot stop this, so we have to learn how to use it. And it's better to learn how to use it now and be at the forefront of it, as opposed to being left behind and then trying to catch up.
Yeah.
So as a game developer, I want you to play, and I want you to find the new games that AI is using. Make sure you've got Python in your back pocket so you know how to fix those bugs. Because again, it is still glitchy. It's still a program. But if you know Python and you know how to, or even you don't even have to do that. You just have to know how to ask the right questions, the right prompts. So I want you to use this. What do you like to use? What are you developing?
I develop in Unity, C#.
Okay.
And I use Python and everything.
See?
So.
All right.
Yeah,
But-
I'll agree with you. I'm just wondering.
But there are people here who like swear by Unreal Engine, right? There are people here who still miss Flash. There are people here who still miss. I don't know that anybody misses Flash, but I mean, anyway. So in all seriousness, we have to learn how to use this.
All right. Thank
So,
you.
And by playing. Thank you very much for your question.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, stay on, because our next speaker is already in the room. We're going to get his session on up on the... Can we borrow your computer before you pull that off? Do you mind if we use your machine for the next one?
Absolutely.
I'm going to give you Forrest's presentation to put up there. Forrest will mic you on up. And, hey, Tiger Lily, you want to do an introduction of our next speaker? So you all saw Tiger Lily, esteemed leading streamer here in Georgia. So while we get the presentation up for our next speaker, she'll do an introduction for him, because she's heard about this guy, I think.
So there's this guy that I know. And thank you for joining us in chat. If you've come by, I've been trying my best to get you all here, so thank you. But today, everyone in this room is going to be introduced to Thor, if you haven't met him. Thor was a streamer.
Features that are available on the platform.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah?
You can check out the list of our videos. To begin with, we have the Game Ideator.
Where's that? You have too many tabs open. You have like 5 tabs.
To develop innovative ideas and mechanics. Next, we have the Image Generator.
Can't do that.
Just shut them all down. All 50 of them. They're gone now.
Can you download right to share it with you?
Thank you. That's his presentation.
That was fantastic.
Yay. But yeah, are you ready?
I went to my email because I thought you might have sent it to me. That's
No,
hilarious.
send it to your Discord.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you want the mic or do you want the lapel? I'm so sorry for your today, guys. He's gonna get you together, apparently. But yeah, this is Thor. He is a streamer for Twitch. He's done work with EA and Hi-Rez and more. I'll let you elaborate on. But through streaming, he found his way into game design. So he's going to tell you his story about how he became a broadcaster and is now working with Hi-Rez on teams like Paladins and Evil Mojo. So.
It's gonna be fun. It's
Yeah.
gonna be fun. So we're gonna do something a little bit different. I know this might be a little weird. Let's get everybody kind of come in. I'm gonna approach.
Come up front.
Yeah, I'm gonna approach this. I can't top you when it comes to. I can't top you when it comes to presentation. So we're gonna do a little bit different. Let's jump. The industry's only getting smaller, so let's get a little closer with everybody.
So you can throw things at him.
Yes. All right. I need a chair as well, if that's okay. Ugh. Woo. There we go. Lily's not even miking me up. How dare? Oh yeah. Is the clicker? Okay. Oh, you're my clicker. Oh, we're gonna be best friends. Okay.
I'm gonna do the wave now, okay?
Just careful not to get
I was down.
Same thing.
All right. So, fun fact, that's me whacking somebody in the face at PAX East 2016. So, we are no longer able to throw things at attendees when we go to. And so, that is my biggest contribution to the video game industry. So, let's wrap this thing up and let's go home. But this is me. I've worked from Twitch to Gigantic, Gigantic to Dreadnought, Dreadnought back to Twitch, to Smite, to Realm Royale, to consulting on Hyperscape, the Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt, back to Realm Royale, then to Paladins, and now I'm working on an NDA. That's my girlfriend, and I love her very much. I started way back in community and streaming back in 2014.
He peaked in 2014.
Yeah, that's the joke. I peaked in 2014. So, yeah, got connected to companies like EA, and the rest, as I'll talk about, is history. It was definitely, we can go back just real quick. Come on, Bob, don't cut me off.
Give me a problem.
My first game was Gigantic. I worked as community, and which is really weird because Gearbox is like, hey, by the way, we're gonna bring Gigantic back. So yeah, that was an interesting conversation about a couple of months ago. But I do want to start this off saying that, fun fact, I don't feel like I know anything in the video game industry. And 10 years now, and I'm still learning, and I still wake up and I'm like, hey, I don't know anything. So we'll talk about that though. Let's move on. So my video game industry roles. At first, I was a community manager when I worked over at Gigantic, and I got yelled at pretty much on a daily basis. Us gamers are smart, they're passionate, and they kind of take that vitriol and they bring it over to you on the forums. And so got my stripes there for sure. But a big part of that was getting to show off how developers work. What do they do? Your art, your passion. And I got a very, very healthy understanding and respect for the kind of work that developers do. I kind of moved over to a consultant after that. I wanted to kind of work for myself, and I was able to kind of bridge that gap between streamer and developer. I was able to kind of mute a little bit the conversations that some gamers were having at the developers, take all that vitriol, condense it down to really what the core was, and bring it back. And as a broadcaster, I kind of bridged that gap between developer and streamer. Moved over to designer, and that was funny. That was an interesting time. As a streamer and a gamer, oftentimes we feel like we know better than the developers themselves. And we're like, if I could just nerf that fireball, this game would be better. And I erroneously thought that way too for the longest time, and so as I jumped into the designer role, I actually had a very, very fun opportunity from Hi-Rez to kind of take in pseudo EP role for Realm Royale, being able to make the decisions, whether it was like monetary values, are we going to sell a skin and make $20,000 to keep our game up, or how are we going to do levels? And Realm Royale was a live service game, it still is, it's still running, with about a 3.5 CCU, and it was interesting. I got to kind of step into the role of an EP, make decisions that would affect the outcome of the game. And I have a healthy respect for a lot of the different roles and responsibilities that everybody does. So that was fun. That was a very fun time. Now I do a lot of level design, and I'm working on Paladins right now, and working on an NDA title. And the team was like, "Hey, we need somebody to jump into level design." I was like, "How hard can it be?" And it turns out, turns out it's its own basket of puppies for sure. I love it. I do on a day-to-day basis. I look at Unreal 3. Last year when I was here, I was working a lot in Unreal 3, and now I'm working in Unreal 5, 5.3, and hopefully 5.4 in the future. So a lot of people talk about Unity, and so and somebody's like, "You mentioned Unreal," and I was like,
"Yeah, dude, Unreal is amazing."
I'm the one in the back. I'm the one in the back working in Unreal. So. Yeah, and Joe, you mentioned something about Unity as well, and all the shenanigans back in the day, or last year. Yeah, last year. And Cupcake, who works with other developers, yeah, that was a thing, wasn't it? Yeah. So those are my roles. Those are the things I've done so far. But yeah, I had a hard think last night, and I should have done your slideshow looks much better than mine, by the way, as you can tell. I felt called out in the back. He's like, "Look how easy I did this." And meanwhile, Lily last night about 8 o'clock, she's like, "We have to go." And I'm sitting there working on the slideshow. So
right, for how many hours? Right?
Yeah, oh yeah, no, that was yeah. So yeah, I wanted to kind of get everybody together, take a couple steps forward. Let's talk about you for a bit, because as everybody kind of alluded to so far, is that video game industry is scary. I think we lost 6,500 jobs last year, and then we're already on pace right now to eclipse that. And that's sad, and that's scary, and that's, I'm sure your grandma calls, like, "What you doing, Jordy?" And he's like, "I'm getting the video game industry." He's like, "I don't know, Jordy, I saw that thing. I saw the kids losing the jobs. What are you gonna do, Jordy?" Yeah, for sure. It's scary. Even in the last 10 years, people always tell you the video game industry, everybody knows everybody, and that's still true. And it is getting smaller, right? But, you mentioned it's also one of the best times to get in the industry. That led me into, we do live in exciting times. I started off in community management. I have my nose in just YouTube videos talking about, hey, how do I do this? I spend so much of what I do learning off of other people's great shoulders and great just things they've done in the past. And I joke around about MapQuest. My mom would be like, "Hey, go print something." Yeah, you laugh, right? So MapQuest, for people who don't know, we had a conversation about this, is that if I wanted to go somewhere, I'd have to go onto yahoo.com, I'd have to get the address, and then I'd have to print out the instructions, and a printer would beep, 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 4 or 5 pages, and your mom would be like, "Go get the MapQuest directions." I would leave 1 page behind, right? So we're somewhere, and suddenly your mom turns around, is like, "Hey, what's the next turn?" Right? And you're like, "Uh-oh, I left that other page back at home," right? And my hide would be tanned. Oh, that was a good time. But we don't live in that world anymore. Now we can just look up things. I work with TAs, technical artists. I work with programmers, and it's a great time to be alive in the game industry. It really is. I was there for the transition between 2D to 3D, and how amazing that was, playing from PlayStation 1, seeing 3D polygons, and that was such a wild time. But now, like you rightly alluded to, AI is coming, and how are we going to take advantage of that? And so, your generation, you get to take advantage of that. That's going to be one of your North Stars, I would say. Yeah, so I racked my brains to say, how can I help you? The do's, the don'ts, things that if I would have known now what I knew then, I would be so much farther along. And that's something I regret. I love the path that I got here with. I love the things, the people I met. The people is what makes this journey worth it. But I lament the fact that if I would have been your age now, going down this path, I would have known so much more. I wasted a lot of time. So, in light of that, yeah, I'm so jealous of each and every single one of you. So, but it's the people. It is the people. Let's talk about game design, though. I know for some people out here, it might be a little embarrassed, but who would like to be a designer? Why are you here? Are you here to specifically learn about this talk, to become a designer? So you.
studying it.
There we go. Nothing wrong with that. For you, what kind of designer do you want to be? What are your favorite games?
I gotta be honest. When it comes to VR, Asgard's Wrath on the way.
Okay. So Shock T, the person that I actually replaced at High Res, actually went to go work on Asgard's Wrath, and big shoes to fill, and I don't think I'll ever fulfill them. So Shock T's a good friend of mine.
But when it comes to PC, currently I'm on Warframe.
Okay, Warframe. So I take it you like shooters then? So as a designer, when it comes to shooters specifically, there's terminology that's such as like pre-fire and post-fire. Are you familiar with those?
Yes.
Cool, awesome. Could you give me an example of a weapon that has maybe an interesting pre-fire?
Okay. I'd say any weapon with some sort of form of spin up where it starts to ramp up its rate of fire, that's something you pre-fire immediately once you hear those footsteps. Something where it has a delayed shot, that's something you start that charge every time you're running around a corner. Or say a shotgun, that's something that you definitely never pre-fire. Never pre-fire with any form of shotgun weapon.
Yeah, I should be worried about my job. It took me a lot longer to figure this out. No, you're exactly right. So for me, a pre-fire, I think of like a revolver, right? So it takes a while for that hammer to kind of go back, and then pop, and then you get that kind of shot. Or a railgun, as you pointed out. Yeah, that's awesome. Talk to me about that. I find a lot of the best designers, at least in where I work, are people who work on games that they're passionate about. Because quite frankly, I don't have time to play games anymore. And so I try to suck the brain out of people who are so happy and full of life. They come in and they're like, oh, hi. And so I love that. And it's like, cool, I don't get to play video games anymore. Talk to me about it. Yeah, so when it comes to fighting games, people talk about like animation canceling. They talk about frames and all that kind of stuff, and I get excited because I don't know anything about that. When it comes to shooters, TTK, long versus short, using abilities like Apex versus a Call of Duty, right, which is more obviously weapon focused. Those are all things you'll kind of go down. And when you find yourself gravitating towards those kind of games, learn about it. Become the expert there. And when somebody does an interview with you and you say, hey, tell me exactly about our game and what do you bring to the table? You could say, hey, yeah. Quite frankly, I think your game has gotten too fast. Like there's the time to kill is too fast or slow, and why? And that's the kind of stuff that I really look for. That's my face when I interview a designer that kind of talks to me about that. I'm like, ooh, okay, this is good. I like that. My speciality, you can kind of see that in Hyperscape or Gigantic, was abilities. I love abilities. Realm Royale had abilities, fireballs, and my specialty is kind of getting the smartest people together and talking about abilities. So when it comes to a fireball, how do you balance that fireball? Because you'll see the internet and be like, oh, if this thing was 10 damage less, it would be better, right? Cooldowns, time to kill. Does the fireball put a dot on the target, right? If you hit a person with 3 fireballs, do they explode for additional damage? That's what gets me excited. That's something that I generally love about game design is when it comes to abilities. Now, systems and the system designer and all that kind of stuff, that is just above me. I look at people who create economy for MMORPGs and I'm like, what magic is this? I don't know. Yeah, 100%. I'm like, I give you $1, I get something back. And it's funny, I play World of Warcraft and I love my guild and Lily Raid, she's a healer. So every night I show up for raid night, and one of my best friends gives me like potions and gold and stuff like that because I don't have enough time to play. And somebody said, "Aren't you don't you work in the video game industry?" And I was like, "Dude, I don't have time for the economy and all that." So yeah.
I just use Warframe Job Market. They tell me what the thing is worth. I pay them back.
For sure. But if you find yourself gravitating towards the numbers, the economy, that is so important because I wouldn't know what to do. So trust yourself. If you find yourself gravitating towards that kind of design stuff, I see it all the time. You know, I once look at like Blizzard careers. I look at other careers and I see opening for economy designers, level up designers, stuff like that. Those exist. So have a little bit of faith in yourself. If you find yourself gravitating towards that, say, okay, what can I do? But yeah, it's funny. This is Realm Royale. This is before I joined the team. I had about 2,400 hours, and then I jumped in as a designer. I may have added about 100 hours to that, and so I was like, I don't even play my own game anymore, and it's sad, and I hate it. And hopefully, other game studios, and we definitely push for this internally, is to take a step back. Play your game, get dirty with it, just roll in the mud. And so I try, but that's the sad truth of it.
Every rule that you created. Yep.
Exactly, that's good.
Something DE's been doing with Warframe.
And Joe, I have to say, I listened to your talk, and a lot of those things rang true. A lot of those things, and so I enjoyed that one. So, designer. Every designer can be different. You know, some say all roads lead to Rome. These are some of the things that I wish I would have known in my field. So obviously, I do PvP games. Hi-Rez is known for a lot of free-to-play titles. Smite, Paladins, so on and so forth. These are things that I would pass on to the next generation to say, hey, look into it. It might really behoove you. And let me just like put an asterisk here. Indie developers, you are the golden child, because when I talk to indies, they're like, yeah, I do all this already. This is, and a lot of times I talk to indies and they're like, I wish I could just specialize in one thing. Exactly.
Game design Jesus.
Yeah, so it's really a flip-flop back. You know, high-res or designers like myself, we've had to learn how to like spec out and be like, talk to the language. And where indie people, you just know that, and they yearn to oftentimes be like, I wish I could just be an X designer. So, one thing that I would impress onto the younger generation is learn tech art. That is so important. I have a great relationship with whether it's Sean York, whether it's Ivy. When I'm helping make a game, oftentimes I'll go to a tech art. And for people who don't know, they are often charged in hooking up a lot of the animations, materials. If you have a chair and you want to slap a mat onto it, they'll be the person to set up that material. And they are a great link in creating that dream. So if you find a tech art friend, get them flowers and send them a present, because they're gonna get you a long way. So understanding mats, mix, all that kind of language, and it can sound like legal jargon oftentimes when somebody's talking to you. They're like, and you're like, what are you saying? And that was something I learned as a designer, was that I had to like, I don't have to know it, I don't have to understand it on a molecular level, but I have to be able to speak it, and I have to be able to say, hey, yeah, okay, this material is broken, the nodules are broken, cool, how can we fix this? Or take it to a tech artist and say, cool, help me out. So that's the big one. Programmers. The dynamic between programmer and game designer goes back to the end of time, and it really does. And so it's funny you mentioned AI and ChatGPT. I actually use ChatGPT to scan the internet for things about Unreal 3.
Okay.
Yeah, so they threw me in Unreal 3. They said figure it out, and Stu was like, hey, use ChatGPT. I didn't really put much stock into it. So back then, when Unreal 3 was first being made, this game's for like Smite, YouTube would only let you upload in 8-minute segments. And so that's back in like 2005, 2007. And so oftentimes the tutorials will be in like 7-minute segments. You'll watch something and be like, and the next thing, and you're like, where's the next video? What's happening? Like, what do I do? And then it's like, oh, by the way, you have a milestone due next week. And you're like, I don't know what to do. There's no guide here. So for me, in my workflow last year, ChatGPT helped being able to just scrub the internet and be like, what are the hotkeys? What are the things that I need to learn? And it was wrong occasionally, but without it, I would have been. Because the arbiters of truth of Unreal 3 has been lost to the echoes of time. So that was me, and that's how AI has helped my flow.
So again, it helps it helps you with time.
Yeah. But if I had to pass on this little bit of knowledge, learn some kind of programming language, whether it's blueprints, Python, C++. I am a child running around in the forest, proverbially naked when it comes to blueprints, but I'm trying. I can blueprint a door to open and close and all that kind of stuff. If you can go back real quick. There. So I've heard rumblings and rumors that Unreal 6 is going to be really diving into verse. I can't speak to that, but that is what, I've heard just Tim Sweeney and Epic that verse is going to be the thing. So I don't know, maybe that's a tidbit in 10 years from now. Like, oh yeah, that one speaker told me to learn verse. I don't know, that's what I've heard. I work with a programmer named Feisty, so I want to give him a shout out. But if you can find a programmer friend, you can be best friends, because there is that the dynamic duo. But yeah, kind of putting a capstone specifically on the do's. Understanding the language is going to get you so much further when you're having the conversations in a collaborative space, and that's something I wish I would have known 10 years ago. So it's okay. You're going to feel a sense of like, what is that person saying? But just take the time, learn it. Honestly, for people who are running programs for game design, I would love to see a world where they had a dictionary or a flashcard to be like, hey, study these 5,000 terms, and because that would be so good. Because every time somebody hits me with a term that I don't know, I go ChatGPT. I go somewhere, and I wish there was just a dictionary or a thesaurus to let me know exactly what somebody's talking to me about. So,
The Python encyclopedia game design.
Yeah, that would be nice. That way I don't look like an idiot when somebody's like, yeah, the materials are not. Yeah, I want that. I look online a lot of the times for that kind of stuff, for sure. And somebody's like, oh, the spline actor. And I'm like, what? I didn't know what a spline actor was when I first started. And then but speak the language. But it doesn't mean you have to know what it does. It's going to be a slow process, but I promise you'll get there. Want to do the next one? The do's, and this is going to sound very, very simple, but go make something. I've heard this so many times when I look at somebody's like, go out there, go make something, do it, and for rightly so, people will be like, oh yeah, this is why I would want to do it, just ship it, just get it out there, and I think a part of this that people miss a lot of the times is that the familiarity with the engine is something that is not apparent, but that's where you're getting a lot of the traction. It's what you can do in those 30 minutes after you get more and more familiar with it. When I'm teaching somebody Unreal, when I'm going into Unreal, I'm not an expert in Unreal, but I know when I spend more and more time with it, I spend less time saying, where's that drop down? Where's that X? Where's that thing? And so suddenly, where I could make a box and move the box around using blueprints when I first got started, now I can do exponentially more in those 30 minutes. And it's because of the familiarity with that actual engine itself. And that was just, that was absolutely. I'll give you an example. Unreal has a thing when it comes to Niagara effects where there's like 4 different check marks where it says visibility, don't have visibility, visibility, don't have visibility. And so, I was like, why is this thing not showing up in game? And I turned the visibility on with 1 check mark and it would show up. And then somebody else was like, oh no, there's another checkbox. So spent another 20 minutes, I found it next day. And I was like, it's still not showing up. It's like, did you uncheck it? I was like, yeah, I did these 2. He's like, no, there's another one. So yeah, after 4 days, I found out there's actually 4 check marks for a single thing to make it visible in game. And it was learning that. And I got so mad. And I was like, why would they do this? And everybody's like, I don't know, it's just a thing. So yeah, go make something. That familiarity with the engine is going to pay dividends for the long course. Second one is make a playlist. Lily will come home, see me just staring at the TV and just watching a YouTube video. And I'm just like, okay, cool. Chaos destructibility in Unreal Engine. And I'll sit there and I'll just watch it. I'm just like, all right, here we go. Then I'll play it again. I'm like, all right, second time around, here we go, let's watch it. Yeah, and it's bad. It's real bad, but that's how you learn. That's how I've learned, and that's how I've. Is there better ways? I'm sure there is. Do yourself a favor. As you watch more and more videos on YouTube explaining things like destructibility in the Chaos engine for Unreal, just hit watch later and just keep hitting bang, bang. I'll come to it later. I'll come to it later. I'll come to it later. And whether I'm driving to work, whether I've just got a couple minutes, I'll throw the beanbag chairs down. I make a playlist and I absorb it. And you, the younger generation, you live in that world where there's so many tutorials coming at you. And it can feel so like oppressive. And you're like, I didn't learn anything. This hurts my head. Just try it. Just get in there, get dirty. Give yourself 30 minutes. Watch the video again. And there's a difference between understanding what you're watching and then anticipating what the tutorial is trying to tell you. So as an example, I was messing around with destructibility in Unreal Engine. And at first, I would watch the tutorial. I'd play it back. I would try to do it. And I would get stuck on a lot of parts. But it wasn't until I got a lot more time in the engine that I say, okay, I know why this isn't working, and I know where to go. It will hit you. I promise it will hit you, but just make a playlist, keep watching the tutorials, and put the reps in. And we call it getting the reps in, and that really pays dividends. And the last one is be the best. I know this sounds like some malarkey an old person would say on a stool or somewhere and be like, hey, come on, kids, you got to be the best. But I asked myself, is there a Toriyama in this classroom? So for people who don't know, Toriyama was the creator of Dragon Ball. He did Chrono Trigger and one of the geniuses, in my opinion, somebody I very much looked up to, and I would classify him as one of the best. I see, personally, a lot of the times, is when things get hard, people take a step back, and I get that. I trust me, I get that. You've seen how many times, Lily, I've been at home and where I'm just like trying to understand a concept, and I'm like, what is happening? Like, I don't know what I'm looking at right now. Attack it, get after it. I promise you, there's people who know more than you. You got to catch up, and you'll get there. Believe in yourself. And I know this all sounds like simple platitudes. But if you're passionate about it, you get at it, you'll make strides. And I just see oftentimes, especially among my peers, where it's like, hey, you know, this is hard. I don't want to do this. I'm like, this is the best time. You're young. You're out there. You got the whole world ahead of you. And I know it sounds like I'm a grandpa on a stool somewhere, but please, like, do yourself a favor, get hungry. And I look at the people next to me. I have one of my friends in the next slide. His name's Sam. The kid's a genius. He really is. And it's one of those people that are just born with that brain. You're just like, man, Sam, how did you do that? And I don't know if I'll ever catch him, but damn it, I'm going to try. I'm going to give it my best shot. And he's kind of that North Star. And it's funny. Again, I ask him all these sorts of questions and whatever. And the other day, he turns around when we were sitting back to back, and he's like, hey, do you have an HDMI 2 cord? And he's like, is this it? And I turned around. And I'm like, an HDMI 2 cord, Sam, what are you talking about? And he had a display cord in his hand, like looking at it. I'm like, that's not an HDMI 2 cord. He's like, yes, it is. It's a DP, it stands for double. It's an HDMI 2 cord. And so as smart as Sam is in Unreal and making games and stuff like that, he still didn't know. I was like, Sam, that's not an HDMI 2 cord, you idiot. I love you. So, yeah, I love Sam. Sam's great. He's a genius, right? But yeah, that definitely put it into perspective. So let's go into the don'ts. Don't give up. Yeah, like I said, oftentimes the mental stress of learning new things can be so frustrating, especially when you're new to the engine, when you're new to game design, when you're new to making something. That all of those tutorials going into your head, you can just feel like a pressure in the back of your skull. And at least that's how it was for me. Don't give up. And oftentimes, like I said, whether it's symbols, whether it's trying to learn language and stuff like that, you're just like, what am I doing? Also make sure you have that checkbox on or whatever. That, again, I lost a day's work because I didn't know there was a secret checkbox that I had to do. I get it, trust me. But one thing you can't not do is don't forget to look back. Write down your achievements, write down the time that you made a thing, right? Say, hey, when I look back 6 months ago, I didn't know the difference between BSP, volumes, level design, all that kind of stuff. And I get so lost in what I'm doing in the moment where I'm like, I don't understand this thing that I'm working on. Why am I dumb? Why am I stupid? And one of my best friends was like, hey, look at everything you've done in the last year, right? Write it down. I'm like, this is stupid. This is one of those things that your therapists tell you to do, right? And I did it, and I was like, holy crap. I did a cost analysis on skins and how many skins it would take to keep servers up. I learned the difference on how to do materials and mix and what that means and how to apply it to static meshes. I learned how to retarget skeletal animal bones, animation bones and blueprints and all that kind of stuff. And it gives you a healthy respect of how much you've gone forward. So I know what it sounds like. Oh, Ray, I gotta write it down. But when you're feeling at your lowest and you feel like you can't understand another concept, write it down. It definitely helps. And the last thing I would say for the younger generation is don't be afraid to ask for help. Nobody came into this world knowing Unreal 5.4. Nobody came into this world knowing Unity. And maybe Sam did, but for everybody else out there, don't be afraid to ask for help. We're a very small industry, and I know some of us love to help and teach, and that's when you see people in roles of education, and that's awesome, and we love that, but don't be afraid to ask for help. I see so many people kind of crumble in on themselves, like, I'm stupid, I don't know that, I should know that. Look at my peer next to me moving at 100 miles an hour. Yeah, it's okay, and you're not selling anybody to anybody else. You're not saying, hey, I'll give you, if you sell me this, I'll give you some coveted information in the ARC. No, that's not what that's about. It's like, hey, I see you figured that out. What am I missing here, right? And yeah, the industry's small, and don't be afraid to reach out for help. So, that being said, that's my do's, don'ts, and finally, this is game day. I'm doing level design right now by trade and helping out with some other aspects of our product. But we had a marketing person who was like, "Hey, I would love to help out with level design," and I had a QA person be like, "I would also love to help out with QA or level design." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I put a classroom on, and I was like, we're going to learn how to put materials onto static meshes, and what does that mean, and what are mixed, and what does this all mean? So yeah, I was like, hey, we have a master, you have a material that goes into a mic. Material can either be blue, or you can make a mic of it, make it red. This is what a static mesh. You have red spokes, black tires. That static mesh needs to have elements, and yeah, that's out of my presentation for my fellow employees, that's what I ended up with. So and they're like, yeah, thanks, Thor, that helped a lot. But my point is, don't in your mind think of some of these higher studios, EA, Blizzard, Hi-Res, all that kind of stuff, don't think that we're in a room somewhere where we have to use the best chalkboards. We have people who are sitting down and explaining everything like, no, we're getting dirty, we're trying to figure stuff out, and we're making stuff in paint just like the rest of the people, right? And so don't consider yourself like lower like developers or indie developers if you ever think that, because yeah, we're doing the same thing in our back rooms as well. So with that being said, yeah, ask me anything. Yeah, let's talk, let's chat.
What kind
No,
of...
no, no,
what-
that's questions in the microphone.
Oh, sorry.
That's right, that's right.
Yeah. And then yell at me. Yell at me and say I'm doing a bad job.
Okay,
Close the mic.
Oh, yep. You said you worked for EA. Can you give us like any titles that you worked on while you were with EA?
So EA was a very interesting one. So that was back in 2014. I was a broadcaster, and this idea between a broadcaster and a developer kind of working in hand was a very unique new phenomenon. I was just a streamer, and so when I say I worked with EA, they would bring me over to shows, and they would have me have conversations with other people and be like, hey, this is why I love this game. And it was that really unique experience of a content creator who, again, I had aspirations of working in the video game industry. And this is back ancient history. This is 2014, and so that idea that a streamer could actually
This is back when Titanfall 1 first released.
Oh, even before that, my friend. But yeah. And so I just worked very closely with EA. EA is like, hey, can we fly you out? We'd love you to do a PAX East, talk about the game in front of hundreds and thousands of people, and I loved it. It was a great time, really great time. And now people like Tiger Lily has taken that idea and just moved that goalpost further and further and further. And the idea of somebody coming from the broadcaster community and now actually working as a community manager, that's a very commonplace thing these days. I remember when I applied or whatever, they were like, I don't know, you're dropping dank memes on Twitch. I don't know if you're the right kind of person to work at our company. But hey, here we are. Great question.
Well, there was a question in chat. What's your Twitch channel?
Thor. Yes.
THOR.
THOR. Yeah.
You were the first?
I'm retired now, but I'm an old boy. Yeah. And all hats on the table. I wouldn't be where I am without the Twitch community where I am today. So, got a lot of love for them. Yeah.
What's one game you would point out for really good design that people should study?
Metal Gear. No. Yeah. Hideo Kojima. Jeez Louise. It's funny. I was making a joke, right? But it's weird to see Helldivers, the animations, and a lot of the things play homage to Metal Gear Solid 5. I saw that, I was like, ooh, okay. Metal Gear, I really do. As far as great design goes, mobile-wise, I've heard, while I haven't played it, I heard Marvel Snap did a really great job. And so I know there was a lot of accolades hoisted onto them. Yeah, I don't know. Final answer is going to be Metal Gear. Having said that, I think oftentimes we don't give enough credit for games that last 7, 8, 9 years. Like as an example, I play Warzone, and I'm the first one to call out Warzone and be like, this sucks. Like, what are they thinking over there? But I got to give them credit. They've managed to stay relevant, keep putting out games, keep developers hired, and they do it in a way where if you play Warzone, if you want to play Warzone now, and you could jump in and you could play games, and you could be competitive and all that kind of stuff. And I think there's something special. As a Blockbuster kid, I'd ask my mom, be like, hey mom, can I go run a game? And if I picked that wrong game, ain't no way. I would have a bad weekend. This guy's shaking his head back there. Yeah, so shout out to Call of Duty, man. You can jump in, you can play, you can grind some guns, and you can be competitive in the Warzone. I think that's pretty special, for sure.
And you can be mean.
What's up?
And you can be mean with no consequences.
Yeah, that's Lily. She's the mean one. She poops talk like with the best of them. I love it. Yeah, she's the excuse me waiter, my husband did not order this at video games, and I love it. I stand behind her. I'm like, yes, for sure.
So regarding level design, conceptually, what do you and your team? What are the steps to figure out where we're going to start, how it's going to be fun, and then how to reiterate, like, well, this wasn't fun, how do we get rid of this, how do we play test with certain things that aren't built entirely, how do you, like, just what are the steps?
Sure. Taking a step back, I heard the conversation between you and your coworker about you two. You have to come to a consensus, specifically when you move forward. Totally understand. As somebody who has, again, I don't want to be like a gray, like an old gray beard on the mountain. I've been able to see a lot of things, and oftentimes I will take those lessons and I will put them in my back pocket. And there was a sense of me being like, no, we shouldn't do this next thing because I've seen it in the past before. And when I work with my team, oftentimes there are moments where I'll be like, hey, let's not do this thing because I've seen it in the past. And of course, my coworkers weren't there; they didn't experience that. And so, potentially an advice that I pass on to specifically your team, where you both have to come to a consensus before you move on, is you have to let some things go and have faith in your teammate, right? And I know you're like, oh, of course I trust my teammate. We're awesome, right? For me, who I got put into a level design position because the other designers on the team were they were good at what they were currently doing, and they needed to have that role fulfilled. And I said, okay, cool. I see that there's a need here. I'll go fulfill that need, and I can jump into there. Now, there are times when they're balancing a character, like, hey, this character's gun does too much damage, or ability does too much. I have to be like, oh, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing again? And I get so passionate, right? And Lily will see me, and I'm like kicking the ground underneath. I gotta have faith, right? And there's also something to be said about the lessons they learn from doing the things that they're doing in the same way I learned, right? So if that time comes where you feel very strongly about one way and your coworker says, no, I feel like we should go the other way, that's okay. You guys are in it together and be like, hey, yeah, we'll go this way. Here's my opposition to this. Let's try your way. But if it turns out it doesn't work out, let's go back to reasons why. Then maybe next time I got a point on this one. So that's helped me. When it comes specifically to level design, I feel like, I know this is going to sound bad, but my work currently right now has me analyzing the best of a previous iteration and how do we make that best even better and then making it look better. And so that's really what I've been doing for the last 8 months. I know that's kind of cryptic, but taking a look at like Halo Gulch and the PvP map and saying, hey, why do people love that map so much? Obviously, it's about the player experience. Obviously, it's about saying, hey, why do people remember this so fondly? Is it nostalgia just biting you in the butt? I'm sorry that I can't answer your question because I know what you're looking for. Having said that, I honestly have been looking. There's a really good website that I'll throw it at you. It takes kind of like 100 of the best games, and it actually, in your web browser, will show you a 3D level of, I will remember the name, and it'll come to me, but it's amazing. So it's games like Donkey Kong 64, right? You'll type it in, and it'll just automatically filter all of those levels out. Then you can see it from a 3D perspective actually in your browser. It's awesome. It's amazing. And I've been using that a lot to see, okay, people like the Gulch from Halo. Why? Why is that? What's up?
Red versus blue.
Red, yeah, RIP to Rooster Teeth, you saw that as well. And that's been something that I've been doing, right? So there's Halo maps in there, there's Call of Duty, there's CSGO maps. And I use that as a reference to say, okay, out of the list that I've seen of CSGO maps, right? I use that as a North Star of sorts for me. But yeah.
Blood Gulch has everything. So, I mean, you got your long distance, your up close in the bunkers, your vehicles, your sneaks, your stealth, it's got everything. So I get that balance. Yeah. I got a good game balance.
Is there anything else I can potentially help?
No, I appreciate it.
What are some common factors that these levels have?
Yeah.
Ask him that in the mic if you could.
Yeah.
What are some common factors that these levels have?
Ooh, common factors that some of these levels have. So I once heard an age-old Adam that I think it rings truer than I thought it was, is that people don't want a fair experience, they want an unfair experience. And I know that sounds weird, right? So people will yell at the internet and be like, I can't believe this character's overpowered. Like, this level sucks, right? Because I'm getting headshot from across the map and there's no sight lines, right? And I think there's a balance here between letting the player cut loose and having a lot of fun and being able to just absolutely feel like a god, and also having elements of like balance where it keeps the constraints on, and there's ways to say, okay, you shouldn't be going around the map and then like completely doing the thing that you shouldn't be doing. And so I didn't believe it at first. At first I was like, no, every player yearns for a world where everything is balanced and there's no chaos. And because that's what I strive for. I was like, this weapon will be balanced in this TTK and everybody stand in line. That plays over to level design, right? So don't be afraid to break some of the conventions of what is balanced and say, hey, what is fun? And I often lean on an idea that press F for fun, where if a player can hit one button and be like, ooh, okay, I like this, and that there's levels to that in a level.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, other question. Everyone's still trying to figure out the name of the website. We got folks on.
Oh, yeah. Man, it's like coin op. I'll figure it out. Yeah, man, Craig told me the other night. I just looked it up too. It's really good. Yeah, I'll look it up. To be determined. Yeah.
If there were any level design tools you could have that don't exist, what would they be?
Ooh, level design, better heat maps. I'm sure they do exist, but if I'm making a map for a multiplayer shooter, I would love to see where, hey, these are where the people die. These are the people where they get killed the most, and that way I'd be like, cool, let me, this person's getting sniped here. I can see these like little X's all on the ground. I love that kind of stuff. World of Warcraft has a thing called World of Warcraft logs. And you can compare yourself to other players, but it actually has a really cool replayability feature where you could hit play. It'll show in a time lapse, in a 2D perspective, each of your guild members are given an icon, and it shows over a course of a 5-minute fight where every player was, where they moved, and where they reacted to the different effects going on. And I'm like, I love this, right? Because I can see each and every single person's reaction to a different thing. So as a level designer, I would love to be able to do in a time lapse to say, okay, cool, these are where the pain points are from a heat map perspective.
Next, is the name of the website NoClip?
Yes.
There we go. From the chat.
Well, good. No clip, everybody. That's a good shout.
No clip. All right. Last chance for questions. Thank you very much, Forrest.
Good luck, everybody. Good luck.
Thank you. We'll be back with our closing session.
Yeah.
All right. Woo. Oh, cool. That's good. That's good here. I will put this here so I don't break it.
Great stuff. Thank you very much.
No worries.
All right, we're going to take about 15 minutes so you all can try out the games. Go over to the expo, try out the games there, and be back here in 15 minutes to learn how to actually break into the industry, which I think one or two of you are interested in. Thor will be here for that one.
Lily, it is a pleasure to meet you in person. Great to meet you. Great. It's insane down there. Really great. Yeah. Yeah, I've been talking to you.
I've heard great things. So we were like orbiting each other at BubbleCon, but like not once were we able to actually talk to each other.
And then since we last spoke, I've been working on getting brand sponsorships and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
So
That's right. I need to get back to you about that.
yeah, no worries. I'm gonna follow up. You're gonna play something after.
Okay.
Again, like I said, trying to lock down the sponsors and programs, bring everybody together for a big meeting and all that stuff.
That'd be really good. And really, like I'd be really
Champions, prepare for battle! Attack! Slay them! We must penetrate those walls! Use the pattern! For the cross and giant! Overrun the enemy's wall!
Rated T for Teen.
The only way to stop what's coming is to destroy this realm.
I disagree, my dear. I think this realm is a marvelous place. It would be a shame to see it go up in flames.
Enough of your childish banter!
This is how you greet me after all these years.
I won't let you have this realm! You turned your back on everything we believed in!
The Pyre killed all who rejected its rigid doctrine, and many who followed. This realm is a resource to be utilized, Azar. I do wish things were different between us. After all, what's a tentacle or two between lovers? Ah, but don't worry. I'll keep you around to watch. You'll have front row seats to the show as this realm achieves its true potential.
Welcome, Agent. The goal of every mission is to acquire the package and extract with it, preferably alive.
They will never see me coming. Perfect.
Completely unnoticed. Position secured. Stay frosty.
One last mission. Let's make it count.
Perfect spot.
This will cost you dearly.
Bring it on!
Really? That's all?
Wait, what?
Bye-bye.
Vault open. You know what to do.
Beautiful work.
Now it's time to extract.
Got myself a moving target. So sorry. Impossible. Sucks to be you. Leave it to me.
Extraction vehicle has arrived.
Booyah!
And voila, mission complete.
All units, we have a situation. Stay vigilant by your posts.
Hands up. Get on the ground.
All units, the unidentified hostile remains at large. Find and eliminate the intruder.
Hello, everyone. My name is Valencia Coleman. I am an engineer at Alchemy Labs. I'm a Women Games Ambassador. I'm an IGA Foundation alumni, and I'm also in the game industry. And I'm here to talk about my journey into the game industry. And before we get started, let's talk about the key takeaways of this talk. So you'd be like, what's the point of listening about your journey? So, next slide. Key takeaways. I want to give my journey into game industry to inspire others. The game industry is a lot interesting right now. We'll talk about that later. And so if my journey can help others, then I'm going to tell it. And tips on how to navigate the game industry. There's a lot of stuff I didn't learn in college, and you're not going to learn in college until you're actually in the industry. So I decided to talk about my journey, kind of like the hero's journey. Let's start with the beginning. I graduated from Columbus State University in 2020. Woo! Columbus State University. Boo, 2020. I got a bachelor's in computer science game programming. I was like, yeah, I'm ready to get in the industry, and that's not true. So wait just a second here. I was like, that's not true. And so I was like, how I'm going to get into games? I'm in Columbus State. I'm nowhere near Atlanta. There's a global pandemic. How I'm going to do that? So next one. I was completely unsure about how to get into the game industry. I was like, oh, what am I supposed to do? I don't know what I'm going to do. So just being confused and lost in my room. And so what I decided to do, next slide, get a job in the non-gaming field. And what I actually recommend that, I think me getting a job in a non-gaming field really did prepare me for the game industry. Before I get to the next slide, I just want to say that I feel like I would not have been prepared for the game industry when I graduated college. Not saying college isn't great. I love college. I'm getting my master's right now. I feel like I would not have been professionally for all the teamwork building, things I did to get prepared for the industry. I was not like that in college when I first graduated. And we're going to see. Next slide. So I was unsure. I got my non-gaming IT job. I was like, but I still want to be in games. I badly want to be in games. And so I just started shopping my engineering skills. I wanted to make gameplay. I wanted to make mechanics. And I was all like, okay, what do I got to do to kind of hone in my skills? So what I did was use the beautiful thing called Google. And I was like, let me Google how to become an engineer in the industry. And so I started sharpening my skills. I started creating my own games in various game engines. I also started, keep going, using Unity, a lot of Unity, and using Unreal, and also using, I put Godot, but Godot is one of them as well recently. So basically, I suggest learning various engines. When you get into the game industry, you're not going to know what engine they're using. Sometimes they use proprietary engines. So knowing how to code in multiple engines is awesome. I always suggest to people being kind of a T-shaped developer. Be really, really good at one engine. For me, that's Unity. And I'm slowly learning Unreal. I'm really good at Unity. But if you told me to code Unreal today, I can do it. So it might take me a little longer, but I can do it. And that's why I really suggest when you're going into the game industry. I can take questions during my talk, yes.
Hey, questions in the microphone. Go do anything.
Yes.
You just said be a T-shaped developer, but you only used L because you said Unreal, but then you're really deep in Unity.
Oh, Unreal, Godot is also WebP.
That's the other T.
All right, that's the other also part of the T.
Thank you.
WebP, which uses Python.
Which one?
WebP, which uses Python.
She's a 3D T.
I'm a 3D T.
Yes.
So Python's used to make visual novels and make various games. I even made RPG Maker games. I made all sorts of engines. And my engine knowledge got me into game jams. Game jams are super, super fun. I went on, next one, itch.io. So itch.io is a great place to meet new people and do a game jam. You guys have ever heard of a game jam? Yeah. A game jam is when you spend like a weekend or a week. Now that I'm more serious in the industry, I like week-long ones where you just make a game with a bunch of people. Sometimes you know them, sometimes you don't. And it really does give you that game development feeling. And I enjoy game jams. I feel like because of game jams, I was able to publish a lot more games on itch.io, and that created a portfolio for me. And I did all this while working a non-gaming job. Hint, hint. I did all this while working a job not in the industry. So that is one thing I suggest. Next slide. And I constantly studied courses in like Udemy and Unity Learn. I was with the tutorials. I was constantly learning. Just gonna let you guys know, if you're not willing to learn, just don't get in this industry. That sounds really harsh. That sounds really mean. But that's really honest. If you're not willing to learn or adapt or evolve, this is not an industry for you. Go be somewhere else that you'll be much happier at. Because we're always adapting, we're always evolving. I'm still learning. I'm still not comfortable on Unreal. I'm still going to learn Unreal. Because if I want to keep my place in the industry, I got to constantly be adapting. Kind of similar to Bob's talk. Next one. So yes, Udemy, Unity Learn, these are all things I use to learn all these things. Indie Game Academy, wait just 1 second. So Indie Game Academy was actually a group of people, awesome group of people, that were just getting people together to learn how to make games in this little virtual space called Gather. And these are all virtual. This was during 2020. I could not go in person for all of this. They still exist to this day. You do not have to travel right to do these things. And in Indie Game Academy, I met some awesome people. We ended up making some games together. And it was amazing. It was great. I didn't really meet them till my first GDC ever. But we already made like several games together. And Indie Game Academy, I just want to shout out to them because they were the, Willem, the person over it. I was making a game, like a text-based adventure. I was like, well, it's not perfect yet. It's not ready yet. I can't publish it yet. It's not ready. And he said, publish it. He said, go ahead and put it out there. If you wait till it to be perfect, you're never going to put it out there. Which is very true, because I was never going to put that text-based game out there. I'm still working on it. I'm still making it, but now there's a demo out there. And now I know people are going to like it. And now I know people who actually want me to finish it. And now I have feedback on it. Put your stuff out there even when you think it's not ready. At least for free. Don't make people pay for it. Don't do AAA route. So put it out there so you can get feedback. Get playtesting. And what else did I do to sharpen my engineering skills? Next slide. I went to school to study game design. I'm currently a graduate student at SCAG studying game design because I realized something. I could program the game great. That game functioned amazing. I was almost bug-free. You can jump and move, and it was dull. It was boring. That was the most boring game I ever made. And I was like, why are all my games so boring? Because they're so mathematical and logical, and they were dull, and they were boring. I hated them. I was like, I should probably learn some game design. So I should probably be able to design my game, because then it will be fun. Gameplay engineers are a mixture of both, by the way. We program the game. We also help with the game, some of the game design. We're mostly programmers, but we need game design expertise to make our game actually, like, fun. So next slide. There's some networking on the industry. Still in 2020 and 2021. I'm still not out there going out and meeting people in person. I'm so glad we can do that now. But just so you guys know, I did all this from the little corner shell in my room in my house. I did all this when I was not going out and meeting people. And you can too. So next one. Yeah. I applied for mentorship programs. My mentor, shout out to him, Mark, he is amazing. And when I applied for those mentorship programs, it made me realize gameplay engineering was a thing. Because I kept saying, I want to be a programmer. I want to be a programmer. So when the game industry is going to be like, yeah, and do you know how many types of programmers there are? I didn't know that. I was like, I just want to program a game. And my man's like, you want to be a gameplay engineer. I was like, what is that? There are different types of engineers. And there are different types of engineers. There's tools, there's platforming, there's physics engineers. There's so many different types of engineering in the game industry. You need to find out which one's your niche. And I found out mine by trying all of them and hating half of them. I was like, I like gameplay, and that's the only one I like. I can do the others. Again, T-shirt developer. I can do the other ones that I really need to. I found the one I like the most, though, which is gameplay. What else? The next one. Yep, that's how I met an IGA Foundation Virtual Exchange. I am now the alumni coordinator. The virtual exchange is happening soon. You guys stay connected with me, so you guys can be part of it. But basically, through the IGA Foundation Virtual Exchange, I was paired with someone from Google. That's the first time I met Mark. And he gave me coding tests. And I failed every single one constantly. And it was terrible. And I was like, I'm never going to get a game industry. And I cried in my corner. And he was like, it's okay. You just graduated college like a year ago. You're just going to grad school. You're not going to know anything. everything. You still ain't gonna know everything. I am now an engineer and getting paid to do it. And I still don't know everything. It's okay. Coding tests are really hard. And fun fact, when I learned my coding tests are gonna be hard in the actual job sometimes because they wanna make sure you really know your stuff. So through the foundation, I met some cool people and I learned so many different things. Another mentorship program I went was Xbox Game Camp. Xbox Game Camp Atlanta, it actually came here in Atlanta. And that was my first in-person meeting. I met people from Xbox and Microsoft. And this lady was Grace. Yes, shout out to Grace if you're watching. She told me, hey, you're programming games, you're making games, you're doing all this stuff, and you're not applying for jobs. I was like, well, I'm not ready. And she's like, funniest thing she told me, people out there with a resume and a dream, and you got games, and you got portfolios, and you know people, and you're talking to people from Microsoft. You don't apply for darn jobs. So I started applying, and Xbox Game Camp really pushed me to start doing things. So you guys are going to learn several lessons out here. Taking initiative is one thing I did in my game journey. Also, I joined various game development communities and was very active in them. So you can go through the communities real quick. Such as IGDA, Indie Game Academy, Women in Games, Black Game, Work with Indies. All of those are organizations I joined during the pandemic. So this was all virtual. And when it's virtual, it's a lot easier to not be active. I'm pretty sure you guys have joined playing Discords and said absolutely nothing in them except hello. That's not how you network in the game industry. You got to interact. For example, Women in Games have weekly questions. I started answering those weekly questions, getting to know people, getting people to talk to those people, being like, hey, you want to make a game jam with me? And then I knew people in Women in Games. Just did a whole expo with them when I did career development and tell people about being in the game industry as a woman. I'm also IGDA. Now I'm one of the IGDA Financial Alumni coordinators, but I didn't start as a coordinator. I started being like, hey, how are you guys doing? I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. I want to be in the game industry. And just talking to people, getting tips from them. And I was just having conversations. Sometimes we just talked about how much Baldur's Gate was amazing. Baldur's Gate's still amazing. That's why I say at 5 a.m. making this slideshow, because I was playing Baldur's Gate. So, Baldur's Gate's amazing. Don't do it if we have to do work assignment. Indie Game Academy, I just talked about them. Black in Gaming. I am black, so I am part of Black in Gaming because I've joined several groups so I could connect with people with, especially when it comes to like minority groups and diversity groups like I am in. It's hard to find them in the game industry. We're working towards making the game industry more diverse, but it's not that diverse right now. So being part of these groups really made me give a sense of belonging. And also Georgia Game Developer Association. This group is too. They're in Georgia, I'm in Georgia. It made me a sense of belonging because I really felt like there wasn't no one around me making games. And also, attending game industry events, virtual and in person. Most of these were virtual. Georgia Game Developer Association gave me my first in-person one. Now I go to GDC and more in-person things. And it's so much better in person. But if you can't do in person, because in person is expensive, so you can always do virtual. I always tell people, so what's stopping you from going out there and just talking to people? What's stopping you from going out and just connecting with someone on LinkedIn? Nothing, really. Just press a button. If they don't say anything, move on to the next person. There are plenty of people in the game industry who want to connect with you, me included. And you can find someone to connect with. You'll realize a lot of game developers are very open to connecting with people, especially if you don't want to be in the industry. Next slide. Oh, other events I attended. I know a lot of events. So I'll go back. Game Developers of Color. That was when I attended, and that's how I met the people that I currently work at. Women in Games Career Expo. I just went to that Career Expo. I met with recruiters. I met with people. And I did all this before applying to jobs. I did all these before I did my first application. Because I just want to make sure when I put in an application that at least I'll have a lot of people I know. Because the game industry really is who you know. And knowing people is very, very powerful. That's why the game industry is small. We all know each other. Don't make a bad impression because people from other studios know who you are as well. And SiegeCon, that was the one. I love SiegeCon. That was actually my first game development conference.
Start with the best.
Yeah, start with the best. That was my first one when I was here at CSU. I went to it. It was amazing. It made me really solidify that I want to be in games. Fun story, when I went to Siege Karn, I remember being like a junior in college, and I was still uncertain that I could be in the game industry. I'm like, my programs suck. I'm really struggling with computer science. I'm not sure I can be in the game industry. And then when I was at Siege Karn talking to people, I met actually one of the puzzle developers of Telltale Games there, and he was really cool. And I just went into my hotel room and I almost cried. I literally almost cried. I'm like, oh my God, I really feel like I belong here. And I was like, it's so cool. And they were just amazing people. And that's why I really like Siege Karn. It was my first con ever, and it was awesome. And of course, CIMFest. I went to CIMFest as well. I went to the very first one because I was a student here. And now I'm speaking there. So going to these events, and not just going and staying in the corner and not talking to anyone, go and talk to people. It's very intimidating, especially as engineering students. A lot of times engineering students are very to themselves, introverted. That's why you like computers more than people. So I like computers more than people. But engineering field in the game industry is very team-based. I talk to my team every single day. I Slack them, I message them. I have a fully remote job, so I have to be actually more communicative than normal. So you gotta talk to people. And like I said, the game industry is who you know, not always about your skill. Your skill is important, but it is about who you know. Next slide. Making, publishing, and marketing my game. I started making, publishing, and marketing, keyword marketing, my game. So I started working with others to make games like HIO. How do I know those others? Because I network with them and I talk to them. So when I say, hey, let's do a game jam, I don't have to go out to strangers anymore. I literally have a list of people who I can just go and ask, want to make a game together? And it's so much easier because they were strangers at first, and now we're friends. Fun fact, one person I met at Indie Game Academy, me and them are rooming together at GDC, and we're going to GDC together. I would have never met them if I didn't put myself out there and said, hey, let's make a game together. My person who's making one of my indie games, the systems designer, goes to my school. Would never met him if I just would have said nothing. Had to email him and be like, hey, I like my game, I want to make it real. You're good at systems. I suck at systems. You want to be friends? And now we're working on games together. We've been working on the game for like 3 years now. And it's really good. It's really great. But that's because I network so I can start working with people. Next one. Marketing myself as an engineer. When my mentor said, you're not a programmer, you're an engineer, that makes people know what you know, you're talking about in the industry. So I was like, hey, I'm an engineer. I went on my LinkedIn and I put, I'm a gameplay engineer, an aspiring one. Not even aspiring one, that I was one. Because I'm not aspiring, I'm making games. I wasn't professionally doing it, but I was doing it. So I put Valencia Coleman, gameplay engineer, open to work, because that's what I was. Even though I wasn't professionally making them yet, I was making them. So, and also, use my itch.io as my portfolio. I don't have a website. I probably should get one day, but I use itch.io right now because itch.io, what's great about it, you can just see my name, see what my summary description of it is, and then you can click on my game, you can play it. And I have a fun story about that. Not yet. When I was making a game and I was getting interviewed at my current job that I work at, in the interview, they were playing my game. Like, right there in the interview. They were just like, hey, so I was playing your game and I found a bug in the interview. And I was like, oh, that's cool. How would you fix that? Yeah. Hey, I didn't know that bug existed until you just mentioned it. And also, this is my interviewer. And I was like, oh, but I was confident in my knowledge, so I knew how to fix it. That's the reason they asked that, because they knew I was the one programming it. Yes. So they knew that, hey, she just realized this bug happened, and she knew immediately how a solution for it. That tells me she's good for our team. Next slide. And so use itch.io as a portfolio. That is my itch.io. The reason I say itch.io, because I didn't know how to go make a website. There's really no excuse not for you to go on itch.io, create an account. It's right there for you, and put games on there. There was no excuse for you not to do that. And again, these are all from the comfort of my home. I did not go anywhere when doing this. This is during 2021, 2022. And next one. And I started making posts on LinkedIn about my game. So what I did, again, come from my home, I started following recruiters. I started connecting with people I met online. I started seeing what they were doing. And I posted my things. So every time I made a game, every time I had a devlog out, people knew that I was doing it. And at first, no one was looking. And I felt confident that, cool, I could just post and no one's going to see anything. And it's not like that anymore. I was just talking to my friend yesterday. I was like, now I got over 1,000 people on LinkedIn. I was like, ooh, everyone's seeing it now. But it didn't start like that. It's going to start with you posting something and one person liking it. And that's all that's going to happen. But you got to keep on doing it. Get motivated. I'm going to make this game. I want people to see it. And so I kept making posts, kept making devlogs. And I started following recruiters. And some of them were nice enough to follow me back. So if a recruiter's just scrolling through LinkedIn, and they're like, oh, Valencia put a game out there. Oh, maybe I should tell the team. Fun fact, the UI artist I work with now knew about me through LinkedIn before I even started interviewing. The person I work with now at my job, who is an engineer, we did a game jam together before I even did my first interview. So again, networking, marketing, and posting myself on LinkedIn was very helpful. And that's what I'm going to keep saying, market. Market your stuff. A lot of engineers don't market. And I didn't do it for the first year because I was just scared. I was like, I don't want anyone to see it. And no one's going to see it because you're not posting it. And at first, no one's going to see it really then. But you keep on doing it, eventually, people are going to start seeing it. Keep on networking, people are going to start noticing. But it took years. So make sure you make posts on LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever social media you really want to use. I use LinkedIn because I know a lot of recruiters are there, and I want to get a job. Next slide. Finding a mentor and applying for jobs. Now I'm applying for jobs. Did you guys notice all those slides I did before I even started putting my first application? I finally started listening to my mentor. I've had several mentors. I had one at Google. I had one at Firewalk Studios, had one at Xbox. I learned from several people because I don't think you should have just one mentor. I think you should have multiple perspectives. I mentor students now, and I do not want to be your only mentor. Please find other people because we only have one perspective. For example, at the Women Gamers Career Expo, one of our mentees came up to me like, hey, I need a mentor. I really want to talk to you. And I was like, yeah, I really delve in Uni. She had someone else tell her, like, you want me in AAA, get Unreal. And she was right. I don't know Unreal. I delved in Unity. If she wanted to make an Unreal game, I could help her to her best abilities, but she go to an Unreal mentor instead. Have multiple mentors. It's okay. Get multiple perspectives. We probably even know each other sometimes. Next, what's the first one? Yep. And like I said, the Foundation provided a mentor for me. That application's happening soon. I will post about it. You should follow me on LinkedIn, and so you can know about it. Yes, you already did. Mentor helped me learn about various game engineering jobs in the industry. Yeah, because like I said, I thought there was just a programmer. No, there are several different types of engineering. Next one. And I started practicing coding interviews and working with the mentors for practicing interviews, like I said earlier. So thinking about coding interviews, I actually bought this book called Cracking the Coding Interview. Yes, that book's amazing. It really did help me understand how coding interviews work. Here's a little tip about them. They kind of don't care about the right answer. They care about how you get to that answer and what was your thought process. Because every answer that I got to in my coding interview was basically wrong. And I was all like, but they knew what I was talking about. Another personal story of mine, wait just one second. Another personal story of mine was I was in the interview, nicely came straight out of an anime convention, took off my cosplay, put on professional workplace, like professional clothes, like I'm ready to interview. And so the senior director was like, hey, what is this in Unity? And I did not recognize the name. I was like, I honestly don't know, but this is what it sounded like. And because I gave him a definition, even though I didn't know the word, he still passed me. Because he's like, she knows what she's doing. She just didn't know the exact word. But I know she knew what she was doing. So again, that comes from studying and practicing. And I even got a book called Game Design Patterns and Game Programming Patterns. That came from years of me studying and practicing. And this was like in 2023. So this is me finally applying for jobs. Everything I saw before was in 2021, 2022. So like I said, I did a lot of work before I got into the game industry. And the reason why I could do all that work is because I didn't have a game industry job. I still had a job to help me pay the bills before I got into the industry. So I could be very picky about the company I wanted to work for. I could be like, if I didn't like you, I still have a job. I'm not that desperate to get in the industry. I still have something to pay my bills every day. All right, next one. And I applied for game jobs and game studio websites at conferences. I applied for jobs on the game studio websites and at the conference. I highly recommend, again, I found my company on Indeed, and I found them at the Game Developers Color. That's how I knew who they were somewhat. I was like, oh, you was at the Game Developer Color. And that was important to me because that means they sponsor and they care about diversity. I was like, yes, I like them. And meeting them and interviewing and talking to them at a conference was cool because that means I could talk to a recruiter right there, virtually. Again, this is all virtual, and be like, hey, I just applied. Okay, here's my name. I'm not just another name you go throw into this is bucket. And you actually have seen my face and you know what I look like. And I try to make a good impression. So every time I applied to a job and I knew the recruiters at the conference, I connected with them. I was like, hey, I like to just talk to you at 15 minutes, talk about the job I applied for, talk about your day-to-day life. Just talk about it in general. I wasn't always asking for a job. I was asking just tips in the industry. Next slide. And follow the recruiters on LinkedIn. Like I said, I followed them, and sometimes they followed me back. I even got a lady from Rockstar to follow me. I was like, yeah. And it was really cool. Just they're people like you and me, so you should talk to them. It's okay. They just work in the industry. Next slide. All right, and then I did that rinse to repeat, all those steps over and over and over again. And eventually, next slide, I scored my first job in the industry last year. I got my first job in the game industry, and it was awesome. Next one. So I got an interview in August 2020. I actually looked up. It was like August and September. So next slide. And I applied for a mid-level position, but they liked my resume so much, and people at the company knew who I was, so they got me an interview. I did not apply for an associate job. I didn't know it was an associate job. All I did was look at the job description, knew I could do it. And I was like, I can do everything the description says. Who cares if it says entry level or not? And I may not have all the experience, and that's what I always tell people all the time. If you can do everything and you just don't have the experience, I suggest still apply. The worst I can tell you is no. And let them tell you no. Don't tell yourself no. So I was all like, I have everything but experience. And they would just... Say that again. For the people in the back. Let the studio tell you no. Don't tell yourself no. You still put that application in there. I applied, a funny story again, I applied to this job to the tears again, rejected through Bungie. Now I look back and it's a good blessing in disguise. But I didn't get into Bungie. I talked to the recruiter and everything. I didn't get in. And so I was like, I'll just apply for this place called Alchemy Labs. Never heard of them, except that one time at a conference. And they had a job out there for a position that was mid-level. I wasn't mid-level, but I could do everything on the description. And I applied, and they were like, what is mid-level? We can't get you as mid-level, but we like your resume, and people at this company have heard of you. I all came together, and so we went to interview you. And next one, and it was a long interview process. I had to do a knowledge interview. Next one, had to do a code test, and I had to do a vibe check interview. And all this took about 5 months. So this was a very, very long interview process. And this goes back to what I said before. I had a job not in the game industry, so my bills were still getting paid. So I could afford to be picky. I could afford to take the time to do this because I was not worried like, oh my God, I need to be in the industry so badly. I recommend that to everyone. Get a job kind of not in the industry and then go into the industry later. It's so much better. I feel like it was a much smoother transition for me. All right. And then in May 1st, 2023, I got my job. I was an associate gameplay engineer. And thank you. But you're going to clap your harder for the next bullet point because next bullet point, I was promoted. I am now gameplay engineer number 1. So within a year, I was promoted, and I really do think because I spent all that time making games, I made 7 games before I applied for the game industry. I put 7 different game developers out there. I'm still working on them. Some are complete, some are not. I'm still working on them. And I was just all like, hey, I am going to make sure my application is on par. So even, like my manager told me, the only reason we're putting you as associate because you don't have the game industry experience. As soon as you get the experience, you'll be promoted. And look what happened. So, because I had the experience in making games before I even applied. So, next one. And now, what I'm doing now in my journey, I'm giving back to the community. I think it's very, very important. Once you get in the game industry, give back to it. Because so many people want to get in. So many people just don't know how. If I wish I could give you this whole talk about all things I wish I knew when I was going into the industry. And the different ways I give back to the community. Next one. I started being a mentor to others who want to be in the industry. Shout out to my mentees. Woo, woo, that game is amazing. And I started being mentor to other people. There was so much I didn't know. And I was like, man, I bet some student out there really wish they knew what I do. Knew what I know. So I'm going out and I'm giving back to the community that helped me so much. I got in the industry because someone helped me, so I need to reach that hand back. Especially at times like we're going through now in the industry. All right, and I'm the IGJ alumni coordinator. So that means people who go through the program that I keep talking about, that's going to be over soon, who gets mentors. After you finish your mentorship, you come to me and we get more mentorship. So now I help people who want to be in the industry, who even are mid-level, who are not seeing the industry, who just want to be far in the industry. I do events, I talk to people. Now I get to, for example, I'm now in the future class because of that. I get to go talk to executives. We're going to talk about this whole layoff thing. And because I have that ability now, and because someone helped me, I'm going to help people try to get into the industry more. And we'll keep reiterating that. So you should give back to the community once you get in the job. Don't just get in your job, do your 9 to 5, and clock in the day like, I'm in the industry, screw them people. Because there's a lot of people in the industry like that. And I was all like, I worked hard. They got to work hard too. I'm a little more generous than that. I think we should help each other. So, next slide. Yeah, I'm a Women in Games ambassador. Woo! I just got that this January. So, yes, I am ambassador for Women in Gaming because there need more of us in gaming. Woo, woo. And you guys want to be a part of me, guys, reach out. So, next slide. Hosting virtual game industry events and networking sessions. So now I host networking sessions virtually because, again, I was from a small town, Alabama, went to Coleman, Georgia. Now I'm in Atlanta, so there's more in-person stuff, but sometimes I just don't want to get up from my couch. You can do stuff virtually. I was like, sometimes I just don't want to get up from my couch. So I'm like, okay, let me just do stuff virtually. Let me still be part of the community. I do a lot of virtual stuff. You can do it, even if you're from a small area. All right. And yeah, going to talks about my experience in the industry, such as what I'm doing now. So I'm going to keep talking, giving back, talking about my experience, because I know it can help someone else. Now, and the journey continues. So now I attend various talks and give talks at conferences. Next one. And my journey is not your journey. You just heard my whole entire journey in game industry. I'm going to tell you something. You're not going to get in the way I did. You can. You possibly could. But everyone's journey is different. I haven't talked to people that have the exact same journey in the game industry. And my journey is going to be way different than your journey, and it's okay. Because guess what? Next one. There's no template in the game industry. You can't just copy and paste someone else's stuff. I can help you. I can do my best, but I can't guarantee it's going to be the way you get in. You can find your own unique path, and trust me, you'll feel so much more confident that you did. And one day you'll be in my position talking about it to other people. Next slide. And I'm always over talking about my life in the industry and doing coffee chats. So that's what I'm doing now in my journey. My gaming journey is not over. It's going to be over for a very long time. So I'm always willing to open up and talk to people. So all you guys have free reign to talk to me. Now, there is something. Yes, go to that one slide. There is something. There's an elephant. And you're like, why is there an elephant here? This is very left field. Well, there's an elephant in the room. And we're going to talk about the elephant in the room. I like to sit down, be on your level when we talk about this elephant in the room. So, next slide. The current state. Can you see me? All right. Can you see me? All right. Current state in the game industry. So yeah, the game industry is not in a good state. Keep going. Let's look at some of the things that are going on. Yeah, Microsoft laid off 1,900 Activision and Blizzard Xbox employees. But then Destiny 2 developers Bungie lay off dozens of staff. EA laid off 5% of their workforce, about 670 employees. Sony laid off 900 workers. I remember the day it happened because I was in the future class. I think like a lot of people got affected. Like it was just, and then when your parties are on part organizations, there was people just constantly pinging me and be like, today is going to be hell. And I was all like, what's going on. It got to the point where I went to my CEO and be like, hey, Andrew. And again, this is take initiative. Not everyone's going to do what I do. I just went to the CEO. My CEO does have open door policy. And I was like, hey, this is happening. I'm scared about my job. Well, what's going on? And he was comforting. He talked to me about it, gave me the realest thing about it. And honestly, their studio is now helping me trying to help others and with mentorships. So, and of course, the impact of 16,000 industry layoffs in one chart, and this article specifically is about academia. A lot of students now are scared to get in the industry because of all what's happening. Now, you saw right there. My thoughts about the current state of the industry. It's a lot. Y'all heard about layoffs. It's happening. But look at all the steps I did before applying for a job. And I was an indie game developer for years before I applied for a job. There's a beauty in the game industry. You don't have to be working for someone. It's great to work for someone. Benefits are nice. It's great to work for someone. But you don't have to be working for someone to make games. You all have access to Unity. You all have access to Unreal. You all have access to all these beautiful engines that were not available for me when I was getting in there. Like Unity was. Shout out Dr. Bondo in class. But Unreal was kind of early stage, and I couldn't just go and make a game out there. I didn't know about game jams. I didn't know about other people making games. There are plenty of people making games who don't work in the industry. And having that portfolio and start working on your own game, working on your own ideas before you even apply, makes you more applicable anyway. So don't feel like I can't get in the game industry because of these layoffs. No, I'm not in the game industry because I work professionally in the industry. I was in the game industry in 2021 when I was making games and no one knew I was having my IT job on the side. You are in the game industry if you're making games and you are talking about it. Doesn't matter if you are getting paid for it or not. And so those are my thoughts in the current state of the game industry. Keep on making games and keep on networking with people and keep making new friends. Because what's the beauty about the game industry? You know, all these layoffs are happening. We are all trying to help each other. And my friend said the most beautiful thing when I was at GDC last time, look for the helpers. This is a very scary state of the industry, but I'll let plenty of people like me, like Andrew, like Bob, like Tiger Lily and Forrest, who all want to help other people. That's why we're here giving these talks. We want to help you. So even though it's scary right now, there are people willing to help you get into the industry. Don't feel you have to give up on your dream because you do not. So please don't. Thank you, everyone. And I have a QR code. I am open for coffee chats. Talk to me. Connect with me. I will say yes. Just be like, hey, Valencia, I'm scared about everything. One student just did that yesterday. I'm scared about everything in the industry. Can we talk? And I just found 30 minutes in the day. I'll send you a calendar invite because I have a lot of people talking to me. And we can talk. So, yeah, that's me. I think there's a thank you slide at the end. I'll say just the end. And these are my resources. And that is my talk. You can go back to the Connect if people want to. All right. Thank you, everyone. Any questions?
And I'll give you some from chat first.
Oh, we have chat questions?
We have chat questions.
Oh my gosh, I forgot there was a chat.
Number one question from chat: some networking tips for game devs who use Charisma as their dump stat.
Okay, use Charisma as a dump stat. I know what that means. I just played Baldur's Gate. So, plan your networking. You can plan it. I did not constantly bother people all the time. But okay, today I'm going to connect to I'm going to message 5 people. If 2 apply or 1 apply, that's a win for me. And don't just say, hey, we're connected. Cool. Thanks. Bye. No, have a talk with them. Talk to them often. Ask about what they're doing. People love talking about myself. I talk about themselves. I love talking about myself. Ask about their day-to-day lives in the game industry. Because everyone's day-to-day is different industry. So when you network, be very intentional. It's about forming a relationship, not forming a transaction to get you a job.
Okay, remember that day-to-day different, because that's the third question. Second question was, you're a gameplay programmer, but if someone wants to be a gameplay designer, do you have any different tips for them? And yes, we told them to go look at Forrest's video from an hour earlier.
So, gameplay designer, okay, remember the gameplay programmer, engineer? They do more programming than design. Switch it around. So, do some design, sit down and learn level design, there's actually different types of design. So you can learn level design, you can learn character design, narrative design, system design. There are several designs, so you got to be very specific when you say game designer. But you might not know what you are, because I didn't know what kind of programmer I was. So test them, try them out. Make games that specialize in something you want to design in. Join game jams. Like one time I joined a game jam as a programmer, other time I joined a game jam as a narrative designer. So, because I just want to know what kind of things I liked. Find out what you like, and once you find out what you like, again, be T-shaped, know several, but specialize in one. So that's my advice.
All right, let's go back to the question about all our days are different. What is a typical work day for you?
Ooh, so I get up in the morning. We'll actually go through my get ready with me. So I get up in the morning with nice Jujutsu Kaisen pajamas and my Chainsaw Man shirt, and I put my hair in a ponytail and be like, all right, I'm time for work today. And if it's like a weekday, I see we have a meeting today, and we don't have a meeting today, I jump on and I start programming and testing the game. I see what's the current state of the game right now. I see what my task is, and I see what I got to do. So I read my task. I try to understand it. If I don't, I go to this lovely thing called Slack and be like, help! I don't know what I'm doing. And it's okay. That's why I say vet companies. At this company, it's okay to say that. I have shouted, I don't know what I'm doing several times, and for some miracle, they still promoted me. Shout out to the company. They might be watching right now. Okay, have a link to this. So shout out to Alchemy Labs. Woo, fellow owls. So basically, my day-to-day is either I shout to the ether, say I don't know what I'm doing, and then someone messages me, and they be like, oh, I know what you're doing, and then we talk. We have an instant meeting. We talk, we chat, and then I realize I know what I'm doing. And then I'm like, okay, cool, I played that task, but how can I make that task better? I'm all like, it's finished. I'm going to play test it with someone to make sure it feels good. We always play test. We play test constantly because we want to make sure something feels right, and especially in VR. We work in VR. If it doesn't feel right in VR, it can actually cause many issues like motion sickness. So we constantly have to play test. So I made it. I've got it done. If I still have time, how can I make it better? If I think it's pretty good, I ask, what's my next task? And I ask, what's my next task? I don't wait for my manager or my project manager to give it to me. I ask, hey, what do I have to do next? That's how I got promoted. Showing initiative, not just sitting there waiting. Show passion, show initiative, and that's how you get upper levels in the game industry. I hope that answers some of the chat questions.
We got another one. We'll let those go.
Hello.
Hello.
Great talk. So as a somewhat of an indie developer myself, I learned very early on that it seemed the more like extracurricular activities or networking or events or talks and stuff that I participated in, the more I was going to be able to almost solidify my career, or at least someone to listen for my game when it does get released. But that being said, I wanted you to just talk about your work life and time that you have to work on your game balance.
All right, so I can tell you about that. And balance is very important because I work full time. I'm a part-time grad student, and I'm an indie game developer with 3 side projects I'm currently working on. You're like, so how do you have time to even sleep? Like, even coworkers ask me that. Like, do you sleep, Lindsay? I'll be like, sometimes. And my work-life balance there's this lovely thing called a calendar. So I live by that calendar. And in that calendar, there is stuff like hang out with friends, stuff like go play Baldur's Gate. I have like Friday night, I shut that computer off. There is no more meetings. There is no more talking. There is nothing but Persona and Baldur's Gate. And having those boundaries is very important. Not only for your work-life balance, but in case you do get into that company, that'd be like, oh, can you work like 2 extra hours? It gives you the boundary saying, nah. Because you got to set those boundaries. Because as soon as the company can realize they can cross those boundaries with you, that's when you're in trouble. So the same boundaries in your work-life balance now, such as I'm not even touching my side project right now. That's like a special thing. Like for me, I'm a little more busy than usual because GDC is coming up, but as soon as GDC over, I'm not touching anything. I told all my teams, don't text me, don't talk to me. I'm not doing anything as soon as GDC is over because I'm going for my boundary. And it's easy for me to do that with a company because I do it with my side projects that I care about. So that's my suggestion. Set hard boundaries, use a calendar, and stick to it.
I guess I'm up. Valencia, that was great. That was really great. Your energy is like so awesome. So,
Thank you.
but to your point about like the layoffs and all that, a lot of those are like from the higher like super high tier sort of, and then like you have all these like talented folks that are available now. Do you think that like the single A and double A sort of studios, like people will start opening their own sort of smaller studios?
I 100% agree with that. I think it's happening. Fun fact, you notice all these layoffs, like you said, come from AAA industries. I'm on LinkedIn. I've had a lot of indies. A lot of indie developers are hiring.
Like you had like Helldivers 2 come out, and Arrowhead Studios like out of nowhere.
Yeah. Lethal Company came out out of nowhere.
They actually like they had to hire like some like Sony people to come help them out because they didn't have enough people. So I don't know. I just want to get your take on that.
Yes, I'm an indie developer. I low-key no want to be AAA because I really like what I do as an indie developer. I really like having that freedom. You'll meet other indie developers. You meet other people who support you. And the thing about indie developers, they're their own person. So they kind of ride or die with their game, which is true. But a lot of them need people, need help. Like I said, all those layoffs are happening, but how come all these indie developers are hiring? How come all these game studios that are AA hiring? So I just think it's going to happen where, and it is happening now. Like, for example, I tell people all the time, Baldur's Gate is an indie game. Baldur's Gate is not a AAA game. I need everyone to think of that. They do not have a publisher. It's just Larian Studios. An indie game won a Game of the Year, and it deserved it. So you can make awesome indie games. You can make amazing indie games. And so I think any industry is going to boom while the AAA industry is kind of going down a little bit. It will come back. They always come back. You can never get rid of them. But I think, because what's going to happen is if indie companies don't get big, and they'll become AAA, and they'll be the top tier people. I'm pretty sure EA didn't start like that. EA was starting pretty small, and then it became big. And then we'll get more indie developers. It's just a cycle. I don't think we're going to have like a game crash or anything like that. I think it's just going to be a cycle of new indies, new AAAs.
Very cool. Fun fact, I lost out in like the second round of interviews for voice director for Larian Studios after Divinity 2. It's okay, it could have been Baldur's Gate 3, I know. That's okay, it's okay.
They have a hard interview for us from what I heard.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 interviews. But it was still cool that, again, I was in the room. You know what I mean? Just to be in the room says a lot. So speaking of being in the room, when it comes to, again, getting into the room, what are your best practices? I mean, these are fantastic, but what are your best practices for this year and moving forward? You mentioned GDC. Any other goals or best practices for this year?
Yes, I love GDC because it's huge and big, but it's also very expensive. I would not go to GDC if it wasn't helped with the companies and that kind of stuff. I say local developers, virtual things. All my connections don't live in Georgia. A lot of my connections don't live in Georgia. Some are in California, some in New York, some are in Canada, some are in England. The person I work with the foundation is in Sweden. Virtual. It's free. You can just get on the internet. Well, the internet you got to pay for. But you can just get on the internet. And you can just get online and talk to people. So that is what I suggest. As doing game jam, like you're an amazing voice actor. So like if you ever have the free time, talk to the indie game. Hey, you need voice acting? Or even a game jam, you want voice acting? Actually, fun fact, I met one of the voice actors who voice acts the silliness in Hades. You can't talk about Hades 2, I tried. But he voice acted in Hades because he was voice acting in a game jam. Yeah. So he was doing something small, and I met him, I connected with him. Really cool dude. Shout out to you, Cyrus. And that's because they're giving back to the community. Absolutely. And that's how they find more work. Now he's making his own studio now. But because he gave back, talked to people, like don't just always take from the game. Just, I got a job and screw you guys. Give back to it too, because karma does work. So, and what goes around comes around. When you ever get laid off and need help, someone's going to help you. So help the ones who need help right now. That's my question. Hope that answered your question.
Hi.
Oh.
I think I know what it means, so I want to ask you. Probably everybody knows, and if everybody knows, it will say, "Oh, he doesn't know," which is okay. Because I think I've been in that, but I never heard that name for it.
AA?
No.
Interesting.
Vibe check interview.
Oh, vibe check interview. Yes. So that's the name I made up for it.
Hey, that's. I want to hear what that means and how it go. How do you experience that vibe check interview?
So, the vibe check interview. I only know this because I went through it at Alchemy Labs I work at. I passed the coding test. I passed interview. Then the last thing they gave me was called a vibe check interview. Now it was called Meet the Owls. And if I felt that, I wasn't working the company. And basically what that was, are you a good fit for this company? Are you good culture for this company? Because you are interviewing a company too. Don't be like, oh God, I need a job. Yeah, this is why I say get a non-gaming job so you can be very picky. Do I fit with them too? Do we get along? And that vibe check interview was just us conversating. Like, what's your favorite VR game? What's your favorite game? What's your most anticipated game? Just seeing that you can talk as a person. Because a lot of things a lot of engineers are lacking is soft skills. Excuse my language, but when I was talking to my friends, she's like, sometimes the best coders are a-holes. And they don't want that because the game industry is very team-based. I would rather take someone I can work with and is not a jerk and I could talk to them than someone who's more experienced but doesn't want to talk to me and wants to be in a little corner. So please, that vibe check interview was just them checking, was I a good fit for the company? Because even though I passed all those knowledge checks and I passed everything on Unity, if I was not good for the company, it would have ended right there. So yes, the vibe check interview is basically to make sure are you a good fit for our company culture. I like the way they called it, vibe check. Yeah.
Yeah, and there are a lot of studies actually that prove this, especially in technical jobs. That one person, no matter how skilled, if they derail other people, really set the whole project back significantly. So yeah, this is a very
for a video game.
Yeah, yeah, this is very well known, especially among the HR folks. They'll always talk about this. You have to fit in. All right, so last question, since we're coming up on time. First of all, A. King says, "Great job, Valencia." Light Chan 123 says, "This was awesome, Valencia." And we had another question, the great question. Before you got into the industry, when you're indie and you're working after work on games, how many hours or what was your schedule you used to make games after your day job?
Okay, I'm going to give you the honest answer, and I want you to not do it. I worked 8 hours after work. So I worked the full 8 hours, then I did 8 hours of work on an indie game. And then I had to cut it in half to 4 when I was doing 4 hours of grad studies and 4 hours of indie game. That's 16-hour days. Don't do that. I burnt out every 2 or 3 months. I was just passed out for a week because I kept working on my stuff. I suggest working on it on a much slower pace. Give a lot of time to it because in total I probably put 200 hours into making that stuff before I even applied for a job. So I spent a lot of time, a lot of dedication. But because I had a job not in the game industry, I could take my time. I just didn't. But I should have. I could take my time and get in. And I probably put a lot of work into it. My suggestion is spend about 4 extra hours every 3 days a week. That's healthy. That way you won't burn out and you still getting progress done.
All right. That's all our questions.
Yeah.
All right,
if you have more questions, connect with me right here.
And thanks to all of you for joining us for CIMFest. We'll see you again next year.
See you next year.